Declaro abierto el encuentro de alto nivel Las mujeres en el poder. Excelencias, distinguidas y distinguidos invitados, señoras y señores, quisiera transmitirles mi más cálida bienvenida y voy a proceder ahora a dar mi mensaje de apertura desde el rostrum. Distinguidas jefas de Estado y de Gobierno, distinguidas ministras, estimado Antonio Guterres, Secretario General de las Naciones Unidas, Su Excelencia Embajadora Geraldine Barr-Nason, Presidenta de la Comisión de la Condición Jurídica y Social de la Mujer, estimada Phumzile Mlambo Ngcuka, Directora Ejecutiva de ONU Mujeres, Excelencias, señoras y señores, representantes de las organizaciones de mujeres y representantes de las organizaciones de mujeres jóvenes que nos acompañan. Bienvenidas, bienvenidos. Tengo el honor de inaugurar este evento de alto nivel sobre mujeres en el poder. Nos hemos convocado aquí para alimentar la agenda de la igualdad y los derechos de las mujeres a través de su participación política y desde el ejercicio del poder. Excelencias, la historia de la humanidad, desde su origen mismo, la hemos construido hombres y mujeres, y no es posible que sea de otra manera. Sin embargo, esta misma historia ha estado marcada por la desigualdad, la violencia y la discriminación hacia las mujeres. A pesar de ello, las mujeres hemos sido protagonistas de los destinos de naciones enteras, de la cultura y el pensamiento político, de la ciencia y la innovación y de las más importantes transformaciones de la sociedad. Las protagonistas no han sido pocas, han sido miles de mujeres líderes y luchadoras. De muchas no sabemos nada. Fueron invisibilizadas o borradas de la historia, pero de las que sí sabemos, de las que rompieron la barrera del silencio, debemos escribir sus nombres, reconocer su valentía y el inmenso aporte a sus pueblos y a la humanidad entera. Hoy estamos aquí por ellas. El camino de los derechos de las mujeres ha sido largo. Ninguno de los logros alcanzados hoy habría sido posible sin la lucha de las mujeres indígenas, de las mujeres afrodescendientes, de las trabajadoras, de las mujeres migrantes, de las jóvenes, de las artistas, de las científicas, de las mujeres con discapacidad, de las mujeres rurales, de las mujeres diversas. Hemos recorrido un largo camino para reducir las brechas de desigualdad entre hombres y mujeres, pero todavía tenemos muchos obstáculos que sortear, muchos vacíos que llenar, mucho que cambiar. Quizá una de las mayores cartas de presentación y defensa del multilateralismo y de las Naciones Unidas sea la Agenda de Igualdad y de Derechos de las Mujeres. Contamos con una sólida arquitectura internacional de agencias, comisiones, convenciones, pactos, programas de acción, declaraciones, resoluciones y con la Agenda 2030, que es sin duda un arma poderosa en favor de la igualdad. Ahora, el reto es hacer, es cumplir, es actuar. Por eso me gustaría reconocer el compromiso y la decisión del secretario general Antonio Guterres, que ha logrado la paridad de género en los altos cargos de la Secretaría, en los puestos de coordinadores residentes y en las comisiones regionales. Esto es un gran hito para las Naciones Unidas y una clara muestra de que cuando existe la decisión política y el liderazgo, se puede cambiar el rumbo de la historia. De igual manera, debemos reconocer a las mujeres que luchan por la equidad laboral, a aquellas que promueven mayor acceso a la educación de calidad, a aquellas que entregan la vida para preservar la de otras mujeres y niñas. Muchas de esas mujeres están aquí ahora en esta sala. Excelencias, amigas, en el ámbito de la participación política, las cifras hablan por sí solas. El 90% de los jefes de Estado y de Gobierno son hombres, al igual que el 76% de los parlamentarios. La gran mayoría de los países no han sido gobernados nunca por una mujer, y esto es igual en todas las regiones del mundo. De seguir la tendencia actual, alcanzar la paridad nos tomaría 107 años, es decir, más de un siglo. Pero lo más grave es que a tan solo 4 años, en el 2015, se proyectaba que en 30 años se cerraría esta brecha. Claramente no nos encontramos ante un retroceso, y este evento de hoy es clave para revertir de algún modo esta situación. Por ello, permítanme referirme a 3 elementos para la reflexión en este importante encuentro. En primer lugar, los desafíos que enfrentan las mujeres en la política. A menudo, las candidatas, las políticas en ejercicio, las ministras, las parlamentarias, las alcaldesas y lideresas comunitarias enfrentan grandes barreras, desde resistencias dentro de sus propios partidos políticos hasta dobles raseros y un tratamiento discriminatorio en ciertos medios de comunicación. Algunos estereotipos sociales imponen que lo que las mujeres llevan puesto o cómo lo llevan importa más que sus ideas y sus aportes. Y cuando las mujeres se expresan o ejercen cargos de alta responsabilidad, la sociedad es 2 veces más exigente. Las mujeres deben demostrar a cada paso que son aptas, capaces y competentes. La violencia contra las mujeres que están en el mundo de la política es un arma poderosa de disuasión, de intimidación incluso, y ocurre con más frecuencia de lo que pensamos. Esta situación es real y debemos actuar para combatirla. La ausencia o subrepresentación de las mujeres en la vida política impacta de manera directa en el reconocimiento y ampliación de sus derechos y contribuye además a perpetuar la desigualdad en el ejercicio del poder y en los espacios de toma de decisiones. Esto me lleva al segundo punto. Los beneficios de la participación de las mujeres en el ejercicio del poder político y en los espacios de tomas de decisiones son claramente incuestionables. Si se deja fuera de la ecuación a la mitad de la población mundial, pensar en un mundo más justo e igualitario es una verdadera utopía y simplemente no lograremos cumplir los objetivos de desarrollo sostenible. Está ampliamente demostrado que la igualdad de género y la participación de las mujeres en la política promueve la estabilidad económica y contribuye a fortalecer las instituciones. También está demostrado que una mayor representación de mujeres en los parlamentos asegura el avance en las reformas de las leyes discriminatorias y un aumento en la inversión en áreas claves como la salud, la educación y la protección social. Además, las mujeres tienen un papel central en la solución de conflictos y la consolidación de la paz. De hecho, cuando participamos en una negociación de paz, la posibilidad de que el acuerdo dure más de 15 años aumenta en un 35% de acuerdo a estudios recientes. Por último, quiero hacer un llamado a la acción. Debemos crear conciencia y sumar esfuerzos para potenciar el liderazgo de las mujeres en todos los espacios. Sin mujeres en la política, el desarrollo sostenible, los derechos humanos y la paz están seriamente comprometidos. Necesitamos más mujeres en la política y de todas las edades, desde los movimientos de base hasta las más altas esferas gubernamentales, y la tarea no es fácil. Pero si alguien sabe de luchas, somos nosotras. Los derechos que tenemos los hemos conquistado en prolongadas e intensas batallas. Y la batalla por la participación política de las mujeres es sin duda el mejor homenaje que podemos hacer a los 25 años de la Conferencia de Beijing. Tenemos la oportunidad hoy de decir al mundo con una sola voz que debemos poner en pleno funcionamiento esta gran arquitectura por la igualdad que hemos construido. Debemos entonces pasar de la retórica a la acción, de las constataciones a las transformaciones. Excelencias, amigas y amigos, su presencia hoy debe dejar una huella. Si bien es fundamental que sigamos mencionando números, porcentajes, que sigamos enumerando y reclamando nuestros derechos o destacando nuestras conquistas, quisiera invitarlas hoy a que pasemos a la acción, que impulsemos la participación política de las mujeres en todos los espacios y escalas, que garanticemos que la voz de las mujeres jóvenes se escuche. Por eso hoy hemos convocado también a líderes jóvenes que deben ser parte de esta conversación. Ustedes, como jefas de Estado y de Gobierno y mujeres líderes, tienen una enorme responsabilidad. La participación de las mujeres en la política debe hacer la diferencia en la manera de gobernar, en la manera de trabajar por el interés colectivo. No solo es un tema de números y estadísticas, es un asunto de calidad, de poder de transformación, de dejar una huella, una estela que abra camino a las mujeres que vendrán y a las siguientes. ¿Qué nos hacen diferentes a nosotras en el ejercicio de la política? ¿Cuál es nuestra contribución particular al desarrollo y al bien común? ¿Cómo en el ejercicio del poder podemos construir sociedades más incluyentes? ¿Será que nosotras podemos y debemos contribuir más decididamente a los asuntos públicos? La respuesta es sí. Sí debemos y sí podemos. Queridas jefas de Estado y de Gobierno, queridas amigas, amigos, es por esto que su presencia el día de hoy es tan importante. Ustedes aquí, reunidas, representan casi el 50% de las presidentas de todo el mundo. Solo ustedes pueden decir a las mujeres jóvenes, a las adultas, les pueden decir, no teman, participen en la política, disputen los espacios que les corresponden, rompan las barreras del silencio y de la discriminación. Nuestro aporte es decisivo para la construcción de sociedades más humanas y más justas, para la conducción de nuestras naciones. Les invito a soñar en un futuro de igualdad entre hombres y mujeres, pero sobre todo les invito a trabajar para alcanzarlo. Como decía la gran escritora Helen Keller, nunca debemos gatear cuando tenemos el impulso de volar. Volemos alto y volemos juntas para lograr la igualdad plena. Muchas gracias por estar aquí. Bienvenidas y bienvenidos. Tengo ahora el honor de dar la palabra al excelentísimo Antonio Guterres, secretario general de las Naciones Unidas. Tiene usted la palabra, secretario general.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. Madam President, let me begin by congratulating you on this excellent initiative. After having addressed this same room on Friday and Monday, I think my duty today is to be brief. Because today what matters is to listen to the voices of those that are making a difference, the women leaders that are indeed contributing to the necessary shift of power in today's world. I will so limit myself to repeat what has been my central message in relation to this issue. As I said before, and I will say again and again, gender equality is fundamentally a question of power, as we still live in a male-dominated world with a male-dominated culture. And that is the reason why I've been pushing so hard for parity in the United Nations. When I took office, I said we should concentrate on a surge in diplomacy, but I believe that as important as the surge of diplomacy has been for us the surge in parity. The President of the General Assembly has already said it was possible to achieve very quickly parity at the level of the senior management group or our resident coordinators around the world. But it was simple for one reason. Those are the people I can appoint myself without limitations. Where I am free to act, we are coming very quickly to full parity within the UN. But when we have to trickle down, to go across the board in all structures of the United Nations, there we start to see the resistance, the obstacles, and the pushbacks. And what I can promise you is that we will push back against the pushbacks, and we will do not give up until we reach full parity across the board in the United Nations. And why parity? Why is it such an important objective? Why are we striving to open doors of opportunity for so many outstanding, talented, and qualified women? Of course, it's about equality. Of course, it's about fairness. But it goes beyond that. We need parity, and let me repeat again, to change power relations in societies for gender equality to be a reality. And we need also change in power relations to advance in peace and security for all, as gender equality is a key instrument for peace and security. To promote human rights for all, as gender equality is a central instrument for human rights. To ensure development for all, as gender equality is a fundamental tool for development. The truth is that when women are at the table, the chance of sustainable peace increases. When women have equal opportunities at work, development accelerates tremendously, and when gender is at the heart of humanitarian assistance, vital assistance has greater impact for everyone in a much more fair way. The bottom line is simple. When we exclude women, we all pay the price. When we include women, the world wins. We all win. So, dear friends, I understand that you are now focused in the Commission of the Status of Women on sustainable infrastructure. But sustainable infrastructure is just a tool for a broader objective. And the broader objective is to build better societies, to change power relations, to close gaps, to tackle biases, to preserve gains, and to push the boundaries of the possible. I said yesterday, I'll repeat today, I'm proud to be a feminist. And for all those men that believe that gender equality is a necessity, I recommend that they also are feminists. We all need to be feminists in order to make sure that gender equality is achieved in our unequal societies. Thank you, special to the women leaders present today in this room. Thank you for your leadership, for your example, and for powering the change that our world needs. Thank you very much.
I thank the Secretary General for his very powerful statement e invito ahora a la Presidenta de la Comisión de la Condición Jurídica y Social de la Mujer y representante permanente de Irlanda ante las Naciones Unidas, excelentísima señora Geraldine Bart-Nason, a formular su declaración. Tiene usted la palabra, Excelencia.
President of the General Assembly, Secretary General, all protocol observed. My own language, Tá áthas bheithirim asking you. I'm delighted to be with you this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, our future will become the past of other women. Just a few months ago, the President of the General Assembly and I joined the Irish poet Evan Boland in this building as she read a specially commissioned poem of that title as we marked the centenary of Irish female suffrage. Those words resonate with me as I sit in the chair of the Commission on the Status of Women. Our future will become the past of other women. This week, thousands of women and girls from around the world join us at CSW 63 to work together to advance long overdue interests and ambitions. As the chair of CSW, I was thrilled that the President of the General Assembly took the initiative to engage Women in Power directly as we work in CSW to improve the lives of women and girls everywhere. Your meeting here today gives political import and momentum to that work. At our opening session yesterday and again this morning, the President of the General Assembly and the Secretary-General call out all our governments for failure to recognise that the power women need, and I would say have a right to, still remains shockingly elusive. Over 200 years ago, Mary Wollstonecraft said, "Women do not seek power over men, but over themselves." I say, once that's done, we can manage the rest. Dear political leaders, dear women in power, in this room, power means responsibility. In very bumpy times for multilateralism, we all have a responsibility to step up to the plate and work for the rights of women and girls. Indeed, I would say it's high time. As diplomats, we may have the mandate to create momentum for change and even to help map the way forward. But it's governments, it's elected politicians who have the power and responsibility to implement that change. Respectfully, I say to Women in Power, that's where you come in. Political courage bolstered by legislation is required to uphold the rights of women and girls. Empowerment is not just about recognition and policies. It's about rights-based legislation too. CSW 63 is tasked to achieve a new global understanding of how social protection, access to public services, and sustainable infrastructure can help to empower women and girls to achieve gender equality. These are vital, bread and butter, day-to-day real issues that matter to women and girls everywhere, every day. Our deliberations will be about maternity protections, pensions, safe roads, public transport that takes women to where they need to go, the schools that equip young girls with skills they need to succeed in the workplace, women's access to vital health care, and the fair distribution of unpaid care and domestic work between women and men. These issues often define a young woman's future, advance or constrain her prospects. Their absence can condemn her to a life of unfulfilled potential, unfulfilled dreams. In conclusion, this chamber echoes with resolutions, debates, reports, dialogues. We often spend hours here hesitating between a comma and a full stop. Thank you for coming here today to raise our sights. Seamus Heaney, the Irish Nobel laureate, wrote, "If you have the words, there is always a chance you will find the way." We are depending on you to help us find that way. Thank you.
I thank the Chair of the Commission of the Status of Women for her statement, and I now invite the Executive Director of the United Nations Entity for Gender Equality and the Empowerment of Women, Ms. Phumzile Malambo Nkuka, to make a statement. You have the floor.
Thank you very much, Madam President. I stand on the protocol that has already been observed, and I want to start by repeating the Secretary General's call, pushback against the pushback. That is so tweetable. Pushback against the pushback. I think we all have to say it. Pushback against the pushback. What did the Secretary General say? We have got our marching orders. Yes, there has been changes. And the fact that we are meeting today, convened by the President of the General Assembly, who we thank profusely for convening us in this manner, is a sign that we have more women in leadership and they are using their positions of authority to bring about changes. There has been progress because we have women who are now astronauts, women are judges, women are innovators, women are leading human rights institutions. Here in the United Nations, as the Secretary General highlighted, we now have a gender-balanced senior management team. We have, for the first time in the history of the United Nations, a President of the General Assembly who is a woman, a Deputy Secretary General who is a woman, the President of ECOSOC is a woman, the Chairperson President of our board, UN Women, is a woman, the President and the Chair of the Commission of the Status of Women is a woman. Unprecedented. And therefore, this shows that there are changes. However, we are also living in a world where there's only 10 countries in the world that have gender-equal cabinets. 10 countries only with gender-equal cabinets. 75% of lawmakers in the world are men. 19% of the highest persons leading in any country, either as presidents or prime ministers, are women. And only about 5% of women who lead corporations in the Fortune 500, of CEOs who lead in the Fortune 500 companies are women, and the numbers have been coming down. This is a big challenge. And therefore, convening in this manner is to heighten our awareness to these challenges and to call on us to do something to bring about changes. And because there are still so few of us in this position, we have to be focused on opening new paths, creating new paths and bringing about the changes. Because the institutions we lead and are part of were made for men and by men. If we get into the institutions and we do not change the status quo, it means that we are actually sleeping on the job. We therefore are obliged to be change makers wherever we are and open paths for other women and lift as we climb. We are obliged wherever we are to hold on together with the sisterhood and the brotherhood that is supported. We have an obligation to stand up and to work in order to make lives better for other women, because the positions of leadership that we have are not a right to us. They are a privilege. We have to earn the right to continue to be in those positions by being of service. We need to make sure that the women who are without work, the women who carry the burden of care in society, the women who earn low wages, the women in the informal sector can depend on us to continue to advocate for the changes that will improve their quality of life. That is why the theme of the CSW this year is so important, because all those women need social protection. They need infrastructure that works for them, and they need public service that serve them and change the quality of their lives. We therefore need to rely on each other. We need to rely on the masses of women that are committed to change to bring about these changes. We do not have a lot of time. We have the next decade and the last decade of the SDGs. This last decade of the SDGs must be a decade where we bring about fundamental changes in society for all women and also for all men. I thank you.
Muchas gracias a la directora ejecutiva de ONU Mujeres por su intervención. Ahora, algunos temas de organización. Como se indica en el programa distribuido con la carta de fecha 7 de marzo de 2019, este encuentro de alto nivel consta de un segmento de apertura de 3 mesas redondas de alto nivel y se celebrará en su totalidad en este salón. Quisiera recordarles que no habrá lista de intervenciones, por tanto, se alienta a quienes deseen participar a que aprovechen la oportunidad al término de cada mesa redonda. Así pueden formular preguntas, responder de manera interactiva a los comentarios y las presentaciones de sus panelistas y de otros expertos y expertas que participarán. La mesa redonda número 1, titulada ¿Cómo cambian al mundo las mujeres en posiciones de liderazgo?, estará moderada por el señor Richard Louis, presentador de la cadena MSNBC, y se celebrará inmediatamente después de este segmento de apertura. La mesa redonda número 2, titulada ¿Cómo cambian el mundo las mujeres en posiciones de liderazgo?, un segundo capítulo, estará moderada por la señora Sherry Ann, presentadora de la cadena Bloomberg TV, y comenzará a las 10:30 y finalizará a las 11:45. La mesa redonda número 3, titulada El futuro del liderazgo femenino, estará moderada por la señora Folly Thibault, presentadora principal de la cadena Al Jazeera, que comenzará a las 11:45 y finalizará a las 13 horas. Tenemos un pequeño decalaje de tiempo, una pequeña demora inicial, y eso va a alterar el resultado final de los horarios. Quisiera ahora invitar al moderador y a las personas que integran la mesa redonda número 1 a que pasen para una fotografía de grupo antes de ocupar sus asientos. Damos de esta manera por concluido el segmento de apertura y les agradecemos por su presencia. Por favor, 5 minutos hasta poder instalar al primer panel. Muchas gracias.
Well, I'd like to give a warm good morning to everybody here on the floor, here in the General Assembly. And as Madam President had indicated, this is the first high-level roundtable. My name is Richard Louie. I'm a news anchor at MSNBC, formerly at CNN Worldwide. It is with great pleasure and honor that I get to be here on this dais with some very esteemed speakers this morning on day 2. This, as we, of course, celebrate the 63rd year of the Commission on the Status of Women, and as we enjoy 10 days of messaging, of learning, and sharing here at the United Nations. And as those who know me, I always like to say, I very humbly say I am 5 years old. And I am 5 years old because 5 years ago I became a feminist. And as I sit on this dais with some very esteemed thinkers and movers and shakers, as we like to say, I look forward, as I'm sure all of you do, to learning a great deal on this day. So I will go throughout this session. We will finish around 10:40. We'll begin with 5 minutes each speaking of introductory remarks, up to 5 minutes. And then after that, we will open up the floor to questions and remarks, and we would like to keep those, of course, to 30 seconds, and then our panelists, our esteemed panelists, will then speak. So I will introduce each of our speakers individually, and they will give their opening remarks. And I would like to begin with Her Excellency, Dalia Grybauskaitė, the President of Lithuania. Madam President, please. It should work automatically.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, it's working. I hope it will be shorter than five minutes, because we are eager to hear from you, not only to speak, because all of our experiences are so different, but also very much similar. Because I can call this panel a little bit some kind of women in politics. Because most of us were elected presidents and elected some high representatives, and this is very rare species, because in the world where there's only 10 presidents from 200 countries and only 10 prime ministers, a little bit more members of parliament, about 24-25% average, in reality we are very rare. And there is a lot of reasons for that. Not only because politics is different, or maybe some say dirty, or with a lot of perceptions, with stereotypes, but also because then you decide to go to politics, you're going out from your security zone. Security zone mainly because with the new technologies, then politics is viral, then politics is already in the cloud, not on the ground. Sometimes it is in parallel with the ground and cloud, and you need to learn different politics. With these technologies, we do receive more possibilities to say, to transfer our message. It's easier, not costly practically, because you can say on Twitter, on other instruments, and you do not invest in it a large amount of money. But you need to learn to be a different politician. If 100 years ago, you needed to talk hour 2, 3 nicely, today you need to know 2, 3 words, but very precise, sharply precise, to be able to achieve the goal. So with new technologies, politics is changing. For women, it is good and bad news. It's good that you can be more visible, more fast, and nobody can stop you practically. But it's more difficult because it's also an anonymous environment where anybody in a hidden position can attack you, can make you psychological pressure. This not for everybody is survivable. So there is pluses and minuses in any new era of politics. But at least my experience shows that for women, it's important to have the sense and the reason why you go to the politics, not because of glory, money, or other reasonings. It's mainly their sense why you do this, And usually it is responsibility, because then situation in your countries is difficult, or globally. Women is governed mainly by the sense of responsibility. At least in my example was then my country was in deep economic crisis. I decided to come to the position, never wanted to be a president, never dreamed about it. And even I am not a member of any political party. But the country was in crisis, and I am an economist. I decided that I can help. Later, it was security reasoning and so on. So today, for example, then we are not so many in the world, but we see, for example of May, the Prime-Minister of Britain, how she is fighting the uphill battle for her country's future, how difficult it is. I always surprised where from she takes stamina, strength, patience. And for me, it's the same again and again example. Then it is a difficult, women go first. Then there is a crisis, women go first. Not only because they are more capable, but they are more maybe willing to get out from the security zone. While in more peaceful times, they would like to stay maybe a little bit further from this risky world. So that's my experiences, and I wish us not crises, but the more women to go out not only in difficult times, but also then generally we do have climate change, another crisis globally which are falling on us. Women can be very influential, can do a lot, but they need just to risk with their privacy of life, to risk psychological comfort life, and to say that they are equally capable, and even in some critical times, even more capable to take responsibility and to do the very good results. So we are here as examples of probably this kind of people who decided to go out from security zone and to do whatever we think it is sense to do in our lives.
Madam President, thank you for your honesty. The unexpected president, shall we say, but forthright and standing up and moving forward, if I may. This is an embarrassment of riches today here on the dais. We not only have one president, we have three. And so I now get to move to the second president, and I guess the United Nations is the only place you could say such a thing. Up next, please, Her Excellency, the President of Nepal, Her Excellency Honorable Bidya Devi Bhandari, please, and she will speak in Nepalese with simultaneous translation.
धन्यवाद कार्यक्रमका सहजकर्ता म नेपालबाट मेरो अनुभव यहाँलाई सुनाउन चाहन्छु मैले लामो समयदेखि पोलिटिकल पार्टीको नजिक रहेर आम जनता र नेपाली महिलाहरूको हकको लागि काम गरेँ म खास गरेर आधारभूत तहदेखि काम गर्दै जाँदा मेरो कुनै उद्देश्य थिएन कि कुनै पोजिसन होल्ड गर्ने देशको लागि काम गर्ने न्यायको लागि समानताको लागि महिलाहरूको अधिकारको लागि जो भेदभाव भइरहेछ ती भेदभावको विरुद्धमा काम गर्ने तर काम गर्दै जाँदाखेरि परिवर्तित अवस्थामा मैले नेपालको राष्ट्रपतिको महत्त्वपूर्ण जिम्मेवारी पनि सम्हाल्ने मौका पाएँ त्यसको लागि म सबै विश्व राजनीति जो महिलाहरूको लागि आवाज उठिरहेछ त्यसको लागि पनि म धन्यवाद दिन चाहन्छु र मैले आफ्नो अनुभवलाई विचार गर्दाखेरि हामीले महिला पुरुष समानताको कुरा गर्छौं लैंगिक समानताको कुरा हामी गरिरहेका छौं र यो वास्तवमै समान पनि हो यो संसार जीवन जगत सबैलाई हेर्दा एउटा दार्शनिक दृष्टिकोणबाट हेर्दाखेरि महिला र पुरुष मानव समाजको मात्रै कुरा होइन सम्पूर्ण समाज नै लैंगिक जो फरक छ त्यसको सहअस्तित्वको आधारमा अगाडि बढेको छ तर पनि महिलाहरू प्रतिको विभेद जो छ यो चाहिँ सामाजिक विभेदको रूपमा मैले लिएको छु। यो प्राकृतिक कुरा होइन, यो अप्राकृतिक भेदभाव गरिएको कुरा हो र यो अपरिवर्तनीय पनि होइन। त्यसैले गर्दा यो अस्तित्वलाई मानेर समानताको साथमा नै अगाडि बढ्नुपर्छ, यो नै प्रमुख कुरा हो। तर महिलाहरूलाई हेर्ने जुन सामाजिक दृष्टिकोण र कतिपय अन्धविश्वासका कुराहरू छन् जसले गर्दाखेरि हेय दृष्टिकोणले हेरिन्छ र उनको क्षमतालाई नजरअन्दाज गरिएको छ। त्यसले गर्दाखेरि समाज चाहिँ पछि परिराखेको छ। यी कुराहरूलाई परिवर्तन गर्नुपर्छ। यसको लागि हामीले हाम्रो ठाउँको अनुभव विचार गर्दाखेरि संवैधानिक कानुनी प्रावधानहरू स्पष्ट राख्न सकिएन भने जति समानताको कुरा गरे पनि महिलाहरू यो दौडमा पछाडि नै परिरहने देखिएको छ। र कानुनी समानताको कारणले छोटो समयमा पनि ठुलो परिवर्तन, हाम्रो देशको कुरा गर्ने हो भने केही समय अगाडिसम्म एकदम न्यून सङ्ख्यामा रहेको 1 लाख प्रतिनिधि चुन्नुपर्ने छ भने अघिल्लो निर्वाचनमा 136 जना मात्र छन् भने हामीले केही प्रावधानहरूलाई सच्याउँदाखेरि एकैचोटि चाहिँ नि 40,000 को रेसियोमा 1 लाखमा झन्डै 40% जस्तो हुन आउँछ। हामीले त्यो अनुभव हासिल गरेका छौँ र संसदमा अहिले त नेपाल सङ्घीय लोकतान्त्रिक गणतन्त्रमा प्रवेश गरिसकेको छ। प्रदेशहरू पनि छन् र पालिकाहरू छन्, ग्रासरुट बेस जनप्रतिनिधि निकाय सबैमा 41% देखि लिएर 35% सम्मको रेसियोमा चाहिँ अगाडि बढेको छ। यो कुरालाई हेर्दाखेरि यी जो अप्राकृतिक भेदभावहरू छन् तिनीहरूलाई चाहिँ कानुनी र संवैधानिक ढङ्गले व्यवस्था गर्यो भने समानतामा ल्याउन सकिन्छ भन्ने चाहिँ मैले अनुभव हासिल गरेको छु। यो युएनको यत्रो ठुलो सभामा यो कुरा राख्न पाउँदा मलाई खुसी पनि लागेको छ र यसरी यहाँ अगाडि बढ्दाखेरि कहिलेकाहीँ के भन्ने होला भने जस्तो पनि हुन्छ। तर हामीले त गरेका छौँ, तर सबैतिर त्यसको चाहिँ त्यो खालको परिणामहरू चाहिँ आइराखेको छैन र संसारभरि नै यदि महिला र पुरुषलाई समान हिसाबले अगाडि बढाउने हो भने कानुनी र संवैधानिक प्रावधानहरूमा चाहिँ त्यो व्यवस्था गर्नुपर्छ भन्ने मेरो एउटा निष्कर्ष रहेको छ। र यो सोचलाई परिवर्तन गर्नको लागि राजनीतिक संरचनाहरू भनेका शक्तिशाली नै हुन्छन्। त्यसले आर्थिक, सामाजिक र सांस्कृतिक क्षेत्रमा पनि प्रभाव पारिरहेको हुन्छ। त्यसैले आफूले जे अनुभव गरेको त्यही कुरा भन्ने हो। अब मैले जो क्षेत्रमा काम गरिरहेको छु, मेरो क्षेत्र म राजनीतिक एउटा ग्रासरुटको राजनीतिबाट अहिले नेपालको एउटा चाहिँ माथिल्लो पोजिसनसम्म पुगेको हुँदाखेरि मैले त्यहाँको यावत सबै अनुभवहरूलाई हेर्दाखेरि यो संरचना परिवर्तनमा नै हामीले दखल दिनुपर्छ जस्तो चाहिँ मलाई लाग्छ। मैले निष्कर्षको रूपमा चाहिँ नि यहाँ भन्नु पर्दाखेरि चाहिँ धन्यवाद।
Thank you so much, Madam President. I appreciate your comments as that which is coming from the grassroots, that which is coming from the ground, and it sounds like we have heard two stories where that was the inspiration for your move to leadership. Thank you so much. Our third speaker is Her Excellency Paula-Mae Weeks, President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Your Excellency, please.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, if you took a casual look at the statistics in the Caribbean, you might well come to the conclusion that we were on our way to achieving the SDGs by 2030. After all, over the last 50 years, 20 women have ascended to top-tier positions of leadership, either as heads of state or heads of government in the Caribbean. In our regional university, female graduates for the last 35 years have outnumbered male graduates 2-to-1. There are many other indicators that might lead you to believe that all is well. But a closer look discloses that great inequalities still exist. and those we must tackle aggressively and immediately if we are to reap the benefits of half of our population being an active player in the decision-making in our jurisdiction. In the fields that are covered by STEM, we notice that women are grossly underrepresented in the Caribbean. Looking at the same regional university, we see that in the field of engineering, men outnumber women 2 to 1. While 30% of our parliamentarians are female, well above the global average of 24%, and that brought about simply by the forces at play, not with legislation, as in Nepal, we can do much better because our parliamentarians are the people who are going to make some of the very necessary changes. But the changes need to come not only at that level. The vast majority of our teachers are female, and we need to leverage that advantage to bring education, information, and awareness to our population in general. Because while we women must be at the forefront of our own advancement, it's not going to happen until and unless we conscript men to understand the realities of the situation. In other words, it's always what's in it for us. And what's in it for all of us is that with women in positions of leadership and power, we can have a well-balanced, gender-sensitive society that will allow us to reap the best benefits of the talents that we all bring to the table. Thank you.
Your Excellency, thank you so much for your opening comments. Our fourth speaker, Her Excellency Marta Lucía Ramirez, Vice President of the Republic of Colombia. Madam Vice President, please.
Bueno, muchísimas gracias. Para mí es muy importante compartir acá en este panel también sobre las buenas prácticas que en otros países se han venido desarrollando, las que estamos practicando nosotros en Colombia para acelerar el empoderamiento de las mujeres y sobre todo aprender a identificar las barreras que están impidiendo que la mujer acceda al poder en distintos lugares del mundo. Y sobre todo en Colombia hemos venido trabajando en la igualdad de género para lograr la plena garantía del ejercicio de los derechos que, como bien decía la presidenta de Nepal, deben estar constituidos por un cuerpo legal y constitucional que sea robusto, pero sobre todo por cambios culturales en las sociedades. En nuestro país todavía tenemos, gracias a Dios, un marco legal muy robusto, pero estamos muy lejos todavía de lograr esa igualdad de las mujeres y por esa razón hemos decidido, en mi caso personal, siendo la primera vicepresidenta electa, asumir directamente el manejo del tema de la mujer. La igualdad y la representatividad son principios esenciales en una democracia. La igualdad debe garantizarnos que todos, hombres y mujeres, seamos iguales ante la ley y tengamos iguales derechos, pero la representatividad política tiene que garantizarnos la posibilidad de que cualquiera, hombres o mujeres, podamos elegir y ser elegidos. La participación en escenarios democráticos en nuestro país y en América Latina en general sigue siendo muy baja. Iberoamérica, incluyendo no solo América Latina, sino España y Portugal, no tiene hoy ninguna mujer presidenta y solo el 29% de la totalidad de cargos legislativos se encuentran en cabeza de las mujeres. Es necesario entonces potencializar mucho más el liderazgo femenino y esto tiene que hacerse por parte de la sociedad entera, no solamente por decisiones legales, ni mucho menos por políticas públicas de un gobierno transitorio. En el caso nuestro, la participación y el liderazgo de las mujeres queremos promoverlo, estimularlo, entender que no se nace siendo líder y que hay que formar ese liderazgo de las mujeres también desde el hogar. En el caso de Colombia, el presidente Iván Duque y yo hicimos una fórmula, una consulta, unas primarias para poder llegar al poder y competimos el uno contra el otro y me preguntó si yo fuera la presidenta, ¿cuál sería mi gabinete? Y además de sugerirle algunos nombres, le dije, mi gabinete sería un gabinete paritario. Y hoy tenemos en Colombia la primera mujer electa como vicepresidenta, pero también la primera vez en que hay un gabinete paritario. Y lo importante de esto es que personalmente yo estoy al frente de todos y cada uno de los ministros, hombres y mujeres, para exigirles que sus ministerios tengan un compromiso cuantitativo, un compromiso verificable para lograr la igualdad de la mujer en cada una de las carteras. También en el nivel territorial estamos haciendo esfuerzos para que haya más mujeres en lo público, para que haya más mujeres que participen del proceso electoral, y hemos decidido fortalecer toda la institucionalidad de la mujer. En primer lugar, asumiendo este tema en la vicepresidencia; en segundo lugar, con una consejera para la mujer; y en tercer lugar, estimulando que cada alcalde, que cada gobernador tengan una secretaría de la mujer, porque en Colombia tenemos solamente 5 gobernadoras entre 32 departamentos y solamente tenemos 180 alcaldesas en 1.180 municipios. Entonces es urgente este trabajo también a nivel territorial. Y hemos diseñado en Colombia el Plan Nacional de Desarrollo de nuestro gobierno, que comenzó hace 7 meses. Este plan de desarrollo lo hemos diseñado en función de los 17 Objetivos de Desarrollo Sostenible de Naciones Unidas para el 2030, de tal manera que la igualdad de la mujer es uno de esos objetivos, pero esta igualdad de la mujer de manera transversal tiene que ver con todos los objetivos que están incluidos en nuestro Plan Nacional de Desarrollo. Por ejemplo, con la ministra de Educación estamos trabajando todos los días para lograr que haya más mujeres que accedan a una educación superior. Sin embargo, en nuestro país es curioso que en este momento hay más mujeres que se están graduando en carreras profesionales con maestrías y doctorados que hombres en ese mismo tipo de preparación. Sin embargo, los salarios de las mujeres siguen estando por debajo. Entonces, el desafío no solamente es impulsarlas hacia la educación, sino trabajar con el sector privado para cerrar esa brecha salarial que es totalmente injustificable. Y algo que estamos haciendo es promover en las niñas que se orienten mucho más hacia las carreras STEM, ciencia, tecnología, matemáticas, management, para que realmente puedan ocupar también esos cargos que tradicionalmente habían sido ocupados por los hombres. Estamos viendo un proceso de cambios muy interesante en Colombia, y sobre todo es bien importante que el propio sector privado se ha comprometido en esta transformación, vinculando más mujeres a las juntas directivas de las empresas y más mujeres como CEO esperamos ver nosotros al final de nuestro gobierno. Sin embargo, como dije antes, el liderazgo femenino no viene con el ADN. El liderazgo femenino hay que impulsarlo, el liderazgo femenino hay que desarrollarlo. Y en esto las madres y las educadoras tenemos un papel fundamental. Debemos enseñar a las niñas a pensar por sí mismas, a analizar qué opciones tienen, a escoger y decidir la que más les convenga, a enseñarles a asumir retos, a asumir desafíos. En mi caso, asumí el desafío de ser ministra de la Defensa de Colombia, que es un país que estaba en conflicto, a pesar de que mi carrera profesional se había desarrollado siempre en la economía, en el comercio exterior, en la política exterior y en las finanzas. Pero el desafío era servirle al país en el sector de la defensa, que en ese momento necesitaba grandes cambios. Hay que enseñar a las niñas a ser transformadoras, a valorarse, sobre todo a tener autoestima, a quererse, a confiar en sí mismas, a atreverse a querer ser las primeras, a buscar el poder, a enseñarlas a pedir un aumento salarial cuando consideran que lo merecen. Es decir, que para lograr realmente esta igualdad femenina no tenemos que buscar solamente afuera, sino que tenemos que buscar adentro de nosotras mismas y enseñar en nuestras sociedades a las niñas a que la fortaleza tenemos que tenerla adentro, a que el poder tiene que estar adentro de nosotras si queremos lograr el poder en la sociedad para poder transformar la sociedad. Nosotros estamos totalmente convencidos que para lograr este mundo sostenible, próspero, en el que quepamos todos, es necesario hacer cambios desde las instituciones, cambios desde el sector privado, pero sobre todo cambios culturales que en la sociedad tenemos que promover las propias mujeres para otras mujeres. A las mujeres jóvenes enseñarles a que es preparándose, a que es aquí donde están realmente muchas de las limitaciones, pero también a las mujeres jóvenes enseñarles que ellas no llegaron solas, que cada una de nosotras encontró atrás mujeres que abrieron el espacio para otras mujeres. Y por eso, cuando hay mujeres jóvenes que llegan hoy al mundo de los negocios o a la política, hay que enseñarles que tienen un compromiso ético de seguir ellas abriendo también espacio para otras mujeres, porque el verdadero liderazgo femenino es el que entiende que tendiendo puentes, trabajando en equipo, construyendo espacios para otros, es como de verdad se logra transformar una sociedad.
Madam Vice President, thank you so much for your opening remarks. And now our fifth speaker, Her Excellency Federica Mogherini, the High Representative of the Union for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy and Vice President of the European Commission. Madam High Representative, please.
Thank you very much, and thank you for doing this, because I think the picture, the symbolism of a man introducing a panel of women is quite powerful in itself. So thank you for doing that.
I'm with everybody on this dais.
And I'll also start with a personal anecdote, which is something women often do, contrary to men. When I started 5 years ago, I remember that many were wondering if I was old enough to do this job. And yet, I was the foreign minister of a G7 country, Italy, and I was wondering, is it really age the problem? Because there are prime ministers and presidents that are younger than me. I was 41 at the time, so not that young. And then I realized that the real issue was that a relatively young woman can be accepted to deal with maybe education or social affairs, but with defense and security and diplomacy, that's maybe more for more serious people, more elderly people, more, that kind of person that can put his weight on the table. And I realized that being relatively young and a woman matches two elements of prejudice that are extremely difficult to face if combined together. And I think women in power have this first responsibility, and we all have this first responsibility, that of being, I don't like the word, but it's the easiest way to communicate that, a role model for our girls and young women around the world. Telling them, if a man can do it, for sure you can do it. Being a football player, a film director, the CEO of a business and an enterprise, a defense minister, a president, the sky is the limit. If a man can do it, you can for sure do it. I don't say better than him, but for sure you can do it, at least as a man can do it. And I have the impression that we have to strengthen this powerful image of women that are already in responsibility positions. I don't like the word power, and we have a problem with that as women sometimes, to say the word power. But because we intend, as Dalia was saying, power as exercising responsibility, as serving. But I think we have to show that there are women that are already holding responsibilities, holding power positions, to encourage especially the younger women around the world and to tell them, yes, you can do it. Because we are seeing all around the world a pushback, as the Secretary General was saying, that has to be pushed back by the institutions, but by all of us together in our daily lives. Telling our girls, our daughters, but also our sons and our boys that, yes, a girl can be anything she wants in life, provided she works hard, she has the capacity to do so, and there should be no limit to what she can do. The second responsibility we have concerns policies. Because once we are here, once we have in positions of responsibility, we can shape policies and decisions, as well as men do. Also, men have this responsibility, obviously, because as you were very wisely saying, there's something in it for everybody. When women are empowered, the full potential of society is used, and this is good not just for women, it's good also for men and for the entire societies, in economic terms, in security and peace terms, in equality and quality of our democracies. So we have a responsibility to adopt the right policies for empowering women and protecting women. Protecting from violence, protecting from discrimination, and empowering in access to job, to power and responsibility and institutions, but also to peacekeeping and mediation. And I would like to close on this. In my specific job, which has to do with diplomacy, foreign policy, and also security and defense, what I see is that when we have women, when we manage to have women around the table, which doesn't happen very often, I'm often the only woman around the table, but when we manage to empower women to get to the negotiating table, to get to the mediation processes, to get to the reconciliation after a conflict, first of all, you manage to find the common ground much more often than otherwise. Why? I can give an example. We are promoting, as the European Union, the role of Syrian and Yemeni women in the conflict resolution of their own countries. And every time I meet with them, and I'll do that again today because they're here with us today with the European Union delegation, I see that even if they come from very different backgrounds and histories and political and cultural identities, they do not focus on whose fault is it if we are in this situation. They focus on what is the common solution we can put in place to get out of this situation. They focus on the future rather than on the responsibilities of the past. Then obviously, history also judges responsibilities of the past. But I find that when we have women around the table, we manage to find the common ground of win-win solutions much more easily because maybe we're more inclined to understand that if you win, it's not necessarily that I lose. You can win and I can win as well. And actually, if we're neighbors, if you are in a bad situation, I'm also in a bad situation. So this search for the common ground, this search for getting out of the zero-sum game that is so powerful in the world politics today, I think is an element that women bring to the table much more than men do. And we need to empower women. This is what we are trying to do in all conflict situations. First of all, to prevent the conflicts, but also to find solutions that are sustainable. Peace agreements that are negotiated by women are more durable and more sustainable than the ones where they do not take part. And in the implementation of the reconciliation processes. This is a matter of interest, self-interest for the international community from a security point of view. So it's not about good feelings, it's also about principles, but it's also about our self-interest in building a more secure environment for our own global community. And then a last point, very shortly. It's about the quality of our democracies. We are seeing all around the world a democratic crisis. More and more citizens everywhere, in all our continents, are questioning our institutions at all levels, from the local ones to the national to the supranational ones. And I find that sometimes this is because our citizens don't recognize themselves in the faces of those that represent the institutions. Diversity in institutions is a value that qualifies democracy in an impressive manner. And this is why empowering women, empowering different generations, empowering different cultural backgrounds, empowering diversity in institutions is a way to strengthen also our democratic life. Thank you.
And Madam High Representative, by that standard of winning, we are certainly winning today, given the number of women that are on this dais today. I said we had 3 presidents, but I have a bonus for you, and that is a video message from Her Excellency Marie-Louise Colero Preca, President of the Republic of Malta. If I could please have your attention to the screens.
I have always believed that celebrating the participation of women in positions of power is essential to create the necessary role models, to influence our girls and women, to seek to achieve their rightful empowerment. Therefore, we need to increase the socioeconomic and political visibility of women throughout all of our countries. In a world that is facing violent conflicts, precarity, and environmental degradation, we as women must lead the way to address these complex phenomena which are threatening our families, communities, and all of humanity. On the other hand, I also believe that we must take advantage of new opportunities for economic, social, and political change. Women are crucial stakeholders to achieve economic growth. And when we undervalue women's work and the contributions that women make, the whole economy and all of our society suffers. Gender equality is an important indicator of how far we have come to achieve the global commitment made by all of our governments to implement the United Nations Agenda 2030 and its 17 Sustainable Development Goals. For us to effectively achieve equality, women must equally share positions of leadership, working alongside men to ensure that a positive, sustainable, and long-lasting improvement is achieved throughout our regions and our world. Finally, women's empowerment means that women have the power and the ability to control their own destinies, to achieve their own visions for the future, and to fully access their universal rights and fundamental freedoms as dignified and respected individuals.
Ladies and gentlemen, that finishes our opening remarks, and we are going to open it to the floor for comments and questions in just 2 minutes or 3 minutes. But first, I'd like to ask our panelists, if they can, if I may, to share a story, 60 seconds. I'm sorry, because I'm from the television space, I like to limit it to 60 seconds, is of a story of somebody or something, some instance that inspires you every day in your leadership position. And I'm going to start with the High Representative because she needs to run to the Security Council. High Representative, Madam High Representative, if you can, please start with a 60-second story of an individual or an instance that powers you every day.
I was just starting as an Italian foreign minister, and I had the honor, the privilege, and the pleasure to meet Madeleine Albright. It was really the very first days in my mandate, and she came to me, she hugged me, and she said, I know how it feels. I was the first Madam Secretary of the United States. And you have to know that we have all gone through this, and you survive first. And she told me a story that stayed with me forever. She said, after a few months I was in my position, somebody told me, Madeleine, you're gaining weight. And she said, no, it's not weight, it's my skin that is getting thicker. And I found it so inspiring and so encouraging that every day I think, first of all, if I'm gaining weight, no, it's not weight, it's my skin that is getting thicker. But then it's also this thing that, yes, you need strength, but you can develop strength as you go forward. So, and can I say, I think that she is and has been a role model for all of us, and we need these aspiring women to stay with us strong and clear all our way. Thank you. And I apologize, I have to go and brief the Security Council, so my skin will get a bit thicker as well.
Nobody better. Madam High Representative, thank you. I know I have to run to the Security Council, and thank you for your story. I now have something to think about every time we think of thick skin. Your Excellency, President Weeks, Madam President, if you could share a 60-second story of something that inspires you every day in your leadership.
My instance comes from something more recent. Next week will be 1 year since I was appointed the first female president of my country. And thank you. In an interview that I did shortly before my inauguration, a question was raised about my sexuality. The reporter asked me, "Are you a lesbian?" And I was a bit taken aback by the question.
Sure, yeah.
And because I was an unmarried, childless woman, that suddenly became an issue without anything else being in the mix.
Right.
And I made a personal commitment at that point that as far as I can ensure it, when I leave office, such a question of any female leader will become quite redundant.
And it sounds with great grace that you handled that question that was quite inappropriate along the way. Great. Thank you for sharing that story. I'd now like to move to the President of Lithuania. Your Excellency, President Dala, please, your 60-second story.
My story is already lasting 10 years for 60 seconds. And I started from the deep crisis, and I saw the beating the glasses in our parliament, windows of our parliament. It was in 2009, during the crisis, and this inspired me to come in, to take the heat, always take the heat, to be able to solve and to help others. And this was inspiring me all these 10 years, support of people and trust of my people. After 10 years, I still have about 63% of support after 10 years practically. Elected was by 68%. And every day, then I see my people's faces. I see how they sacrifice and how they trust our country's future and how they cherish the freedom we got about 30 years ago. That was everyday story, which helped me. And because of that, people trusted me. I trusted them. We were able to go all through these 10 years together. And that was my inspiration.
Thank you. We now move to the President of Nepal, a 60-second story of some individual, someone close to you that really changed you and inspires you. Madam President, please. President Bhandari.
धन्यवाद. म चाहिँ एकदमै दुर्गम गाउँमा जन्मेको हो. त्यसैले मैले गाउँको जुन गाउँमा म जन्मेँ त्यो ठाउँमा सबैले पढ्न पनि पाएका थिएनन्, स्वास्थ्य उपचार गर्न पनि पाएका थिएनन् र वर्षभरि गरेको कामले खान पनि पाएका थिएनन्. महिला नेतृत्व हुनुपर्छ भन्ने त मैले बाल्यकालमा त्यति धेरै थाहा पनि पाएको थिएन. त्यो देखेर मैले यो परिवर्तन आवश्यक छ. सबै जनताले खाना पाउनुपर्छ, सबैले पढ्न पनि पाउनुपर्छ र सबैले बिरामी हुँदा उपचार गर्न पाउनुपर्छ भन्ने त्यो भावनाले प्रेरित भएर मैले चाहिँ यो परिवर्तनको कार्यमा लागेको हो. र मेरो आफ्नै पनि यति कुरा उठेपछि मैले भन्नुपर्छ, मेरो बुवा चाहिँ एकदम गाउँको पढे लेखेको तत्कालीन अवस्थामा हाई स्कुलको प्रिन्सिपल भएर काम गरेको व्यक्ति हुनुहुन्थ्यो. तर उहाँ पनि बिरामी हुँदाखेरि हामीले गाउँमा उपचार गर्न सकेनौँ र एकदमै यङ उमेरमा उहाँ करिब 32 या 33 वर्षको हुनुहुन्थ्यो. म त 9 वर्षको मात्रै थिएँ. उहाँको बिना उपचार चाहिँ निधन भयो भन्ने मैले बुझेँ. त्यसले गर्दाखेरि पनि मलाई राजनीतिमा लाग्ने चाहिँ प्रेरणा दियो. र यस्ता थुप्रै घटना छन् जो यहाँ यत्रो सभामा चर्चा गर्न सकिँदैन र कहिले पनि थाकिँदैन. जनताको लागि काम गर्न, आम मानिसहरूको लागि काम गर्न र महिलाहरूको लागि, महिलाहरूको सम्मानको लागि, महिलाहरूको प्रतिष्ठाको लागि, उनीहरूको सशक्तिकरणको लागि काम गर्न त्यति एनर्जी प्राप्त भइसकेको छ जो देखेर थकाइ लाग्दैन.
Thank you, Madam President. From a moment of pain and difficulty, that which inspires you today as you lead your country. Thank you for sharing that personal story. I also understand that, Madam President, you must leave us now because you have a meeting, I understand, with the Secretary General. So thank you so much for being here with us. Madam Vice President, your 60-second story that inspires you in your leadership in Colombia.
Bueno, a mí me han inspirado realmente muchas mujeres, sobre todo me inspiran las mujeres del común, las mujeres que son capaces de manejar su hogar, estar pendiente de sus hijos, muchas de ellas trabajan fuera de su hogar. De hecho, eso es una de las razones por las cuales decidí participar en política, porque yo no vengo de la política, nadie de mi familia había sido político, venía de una carrera en el sector privado, pero fue justamente viendo la situación de las mujeres como tomé la decisión de hacer en política. Hay varias mujeres que me han influenciado, por ejemplo, una mujer que fue una luchadora por los derechos de las mujeres en Colombia, fue una mujer que en el referendo en el año 57 lograron las mujeres de verdad protestando que el país pudiera tener el derecho al voto de las mujeres, y ella después fue una mujer senadora, fue la primera ministra de Educación, de tal manera, y era una mujer tremendamente sencilla, muy comprometida con la causa de las mujeres. Y cuando yo fui primera ministra de Comercio Exterior, primera ministra de Defensa, siempre entendí que debía tener un gran compromiso con la causa de las mujeres. Cuando fui ministra de la Defensa me empeñé en que las mujeres de Colombia pudieran ser generales, porque antes llegaban simplemente a coroneles y las sacaban de las fuerzas militares. Y di esa pelea para que sus competencias les permitieran participar y hoy por hoy las hay. Ha habido muchísimas mujeres que obviamente en la política nos han servido de inspiración, Benazir Bhutto, tantas mujeres que dieron lucha, la primera ministra inglesa, tantas mujeres que en el mundo entero han asumido que llegar al poder es también defender sin actitudes vergonzantes la causa de la inclusión de todos, la causa del desarrollo social y por supuesto la causa de las mujeres. La más inspiradora de todas para mí fue mi mamá. Era una mujer del común, trabajaba y me enseñó mucho a luchar también para alcanzar los objetivos que me proponía en la vida.
No doubt, the mothers of the world are inspirations to all of us, and I think many of us could share a story at this moment. Speaking of which, I'm now going to open it to the floor for comments and questions. There's no established list of speakers or delegations wishing to take the floor, but you're invited to press the microphone button on the console in front of you. And as I had the rule of 60 seconds for our panelists, it will be the same for you. If you have a question or statement, this as we do open it up again to comments and questions. I'll begin with the representative from the delegation from Netherlands. 60 seconds. And the delegation from Netherlands with 60 seconds. Okay, I will now move on. And if the delegation from the Netherlands does have, okay, we will get to you later if you are able to hit the button. I now like to move to the delegation from Norway, please, the Minister of Culture.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in Norway, gender equality has been a political goal for many decades, and we have nearly as many women in the working force as men, only 5% differences. But that have taken us some time, and I think it's important to say that we have to facilitate the labor market for participation for both men and women. And the welfare system is the infrastructure of equality. We have a government in Norway with a female prime minister. Number 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the government are women. We have a female minister of Foreign Affairs and a female minister of Finance. But it took us some time to get there. To have flexibility in the working force, to have high-quality daycare for children to an affordable price, and generous parent leave, I think it's important for female participation. In Norway, the parent leave is 49 weeks with 100% pay and 59 weeks with 80% pay, and the quota reserved for each of the parents. 1/3 for mother, 1/3 quota for the father, and 1/3 they can choose how they want to divide between them. I think that all these systems are very important for female participation, but it's also the ground for wealth in a country. So if women can participate in the working force, it's also easier to create wealth in the country. Thank you.
Thank you so much, the delegation from Norway. Appreciate that. Now to the delegation from France. We have Her Excellency Marlene Schiappa, Minister of Gender Equality.
Yes, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I think there is no female power because we are not natural born sweet and kind and gentle and talented to take care for others. But gender stereotypes still exist, and when somebody says we need a leader with big shoulders, actually it means we need a man. So I truly believe in quotas. When you don't have quotas and say it must be a matter of skills only, spoilers, there are men at the end. Does it mean only men have skills? I don't think so. We are 52% of the population, so a quota 50-50 is already a compromise. So I would very much like to know what's your point about quotas. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'd now like to move to the delegation from Hungary and their representative, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, in Hungary, we believe that we should work on changing perception of men and women to recognize the potential and capability of women to succeed in decision-making positions. We should increase the confidence of women and encourage them to step up while engaging with men as partners to highlight the benefit and importance of listening to women and following their lead. Equal power balance between men and women is a win for all of the society. In Hungary, we are witnessing important progress concerning gender equality. Based on the EIGE Gender Equality Index components and OECD data, the employment ratio of women based on full-time employment is above the EU average. Today, more women and men obtain the qualification in higher education. Hungary has the lowest gender pay gap in the EU measured between childless women and men. Although there is room for improvement in the area of parliamentary representation of women in Hungary, the number of female mayors is in constant increase since the political transition of the 90s, reaching almost 20% by now. So we are on the road. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you so much. I'd now like to move to the delegation from the Dominican Republic. Her Excellency Margarita Cedeño, Madam Vice President, please.
Muchísimas gracias y bueno, pues felicitar este panel de tan alto nivel y felicitar también pues la abogacía que han tenido estas mujeres líderes que nos representan durante esta mañana, porque definitivamente que a través de sus voces todas hemos sentido que de una forma u otra pues esos temas que son los que nos limitan, nos restringen y generan esas brechas para lograr plena igualdad y equidad de género pues están ahí presentes. Quiero felicitar también la participación de la señora presidenta de esta plenaria, doña María Fernanda de Ecuador. También, bueno, pues sus palabras se han recogido cuáles son esas condiciones y limitaciones que nos restringen, ¿verdad?, nuestro pleno desarrollo. Decirles también que nosotras como mujeres tenemos que seguir teniendo voz, seguir teniendo espacios como estos y muchos más, propugnar por otros espacios para que podamos tener y seguir desarrollando esa capacidad de cuestionar el status quo, mientras nosotras sigamos pues hablando y llamando la atención sobre lo que existe, ese status quo vigente que nos pone ese techo de cristal y esas paredes de madera, como yo también quiero llamarles, porque es una limitación a escalar y a desarrollarnos también en lo horizontal, pues nosotros realmente tenemos que seguir en esta lucha por lograr igualdad por los millones de mujeres en el mundo a quienes representamos y a quienes podemos seguir dando nuestro ejemplo. Gracias por la oportunidad de la palabra en nombre de toda la delegación de la República Dominicana. Sigamos nuestra lucha y empujemos, subamos, levantemos a aquellas mujeres que tenemos que levantar mientras nosotras vamos subiendo también. Gracias.
Thank you so much. I'd like to remind those making comments, please keep them to 60 seconds. Thank you so much for doing that. I'd now like to move to the delegation from China.
各位上午好，我呢在此介绍一下中国的情况。1949年呢，中国建立一个联系服务，世界上最大的妇女组织，主要的任务呢是维护妇女的权利。在这里呢，举一个例子，过去呢，农村土地证上只有男主人的名字，现在经过全国妇联的争取呢，土地证明确了家庭每一位成员的名字写上。 保护了妇女儿童的权利。时间的关系呢，就说到这儿。欢迎各位呢到全国妇联中国交流合作。谢谢大家。
Thank you so much. Now to the delegation from Canada, please. 60 seconds.
For Global South, we all need role models. I thank the speakers for their leadership and for their stories. We are all part of a movement that has existed long before any of us got here, and a movement that will continue long after we're gone. And regardless of where we are in the globe, we are all experiencing pushback against the gains we've made. I am the first Muslim to have a seat around Canada's cabinet. I am the first Afghan Canadian to have a seat in Canada's Parliament, and I hope that I won't be the last. One of the places where we see the greatest pushback for all of us, regardless of where we are in the globe, is online. My call to action for all of us here today is, can we join together to address the violence that happens online, that dissuades voices, that prevents leaders from stepping up, as part of the commitment that Canada, other G7 countries, and other partners have made to already work together? Is this something that we can work on together?
Thank you so much. To our panelists, and we did not prepare this, but I am going to call this a lightning round, and what I'll do is I'll say an idea, and if you could just respond in 2 or 3 words, because we have so much to cover. This we'll make it a nice bang at the end of our conversation today, and I appreciate that our esteemed panelists will come along with me for this. There's this idea of Me Too, right, that's gone across the world, this idea of time's up. In 2 or 3 words, how would you react to that? And I'll start all the way on my left. Your Excellency, President Weeks.
Women have found a voice.
Very good. Thank you so much. President Dela.
In the very beginning, pain. Pain, but satisfaction.
Pain and satisfaction. Madam Vice President.
Las sociedades van a cambiar a partir de ese no de las mujeres.
Yes, absolutely. The idea of being unexpected leaders, all of you told stories of how you didn't see necessarily that one day when you were younger you were going to become vice presidents or presidents of your countries, respective countries. 2 or 3 words to describe that unexpectedness. Madam Vice President.
En mi caso, la convicción de que Colombia es un país con un gran potencial y me frustraba la mediocridad. Sentía que podíamos hacer mucho más y dije, yo también soy capaz de hacer ese cambio.
Perfecto.
I still don't believe it.
Don't believe it.
I still don't believe it. I think it's some kind of movie going to go with me, with my life, but the reaction of people confirms that it is the case.
President Weeks.
The appeal was to my patriotism. The cry was, the country needs you, so please. And here I am.
If you Google the word woman and you hit the word images, the subcategories are beautiful, body type. The pictures you see are about physicality. There's something about the images that are out there when we just do searches, that are the way we talk about it. Your reaction in 2 or 3 words about how we get past that, right? How we get past that. And I'll start with you, President Dela.
Some images I like. For example, I have nicknamed Still Magnolia. Why not? It's beautiful and also strong.
President Weeks.
I think perhaps we need a greater mix of images.
Yeah.
And a lot of people cry them down, but I think the ones of bodybuilders are a fairly good symbolism for us.
Thank you.
Strength.
Yes, absolutely. That should be a subcategory, certainly. That's not there. Madam Vice President, your thoughts on this idea of images that we see? 2 or 3 words.
Creo que la imagen de una mujer bonita que se cuida no resulta excluyente con una mujer que desarrolla su intelecto y que tiene la voluntad de luchar para hacer transformaciones en la sociedad. Son totalmente compatibles y no hay que estigmatizar a las mujeres bonitas ni tampoco pensar que para poder lograr el poder hay que renunciar a la vanidad de las mujeres.
Más que dos o tres palabras, pero todo bien. I finish with this. We are here on our first round table, the high-level event on Women in Power. How would you react in 2 or 3 words to this idea of women in power and the three of you representing so much to that idea? And I'll start all the way with you, if I may, President Weeks.
I think those of us in this panel represent the great potential that we have in fora such as these to understand the message and then take it back to our various jurisdictions and ensure a continuity of message as we go.
Thank you.
I think we are examples that it is possible, that it is useful, that it is acceptable for our people, and it is a good example for anybody to try to go and risk, to take responsibility, and everything is depending only on how you feel, who you are,
right,
and self-confidence, nothing else.
Thank you. And finally, Madam.
En mi caso, es la coherencia de luchar para hacer cambios en la sociedad, pero también es un gran sentido de responsabilidad. No podemos fallar a la expectativa que tienen hombres y mujeres de que las mujeres podemos llevar mucho mejor el poder pensando en incluir a todos. Es una gran responsabilidad.
Thank you to all of our panelists, those that are here on the dais with right now, as well as those who are here with us in spirit for our first high-level round table here on Women in Power. Thank you to all three, and also thank you to all of you for participating. If you're unable to get to your comments, you can certainly do that in the next round table. Thank you all.
Hello? Hello? I think the mics are on. Yes. I believe it is. Hi, hello everyone. Good morning. We will believe that we are being heard right now, and thank you very much for joining us. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time today. We are so delighted to start this roundtable number 2 and continue our discussion on how women leaders can change the world. My name is Sherian, and I'm an anchor at Bloomberg Television. Now, I face today this conversation with mixed feelings. I mean, we're almost 25 years since the Beijing Declaration, the Platform for Action, almost 20 years since the Security Council resolution on women, peace, and security. And yet, when it comes to the numbers, it can be a little bit disappointing. We are seeing only 10% of UN member states have a female head of state or government. 1 of 5 parliamentarians is a woman in the world. Now, I myself am Bolivian. I come from South Korea as well. I lived in Japan, in Hong Kong, now in the United States. And I gotta say, whether it's in South America, Asia, or here in North America, I see that we have a long way to go on gender equality, especially when it comes to female leadership. So I'm very much pleased to have this conversation on how women change the world. So thank you all for being here. And first of all, let me introduce and welcome our panelists today. Thank you so much for being here. Let me start first. We'll have opening remarks. That's 5 minutes for our panelists. And then we'll have a 2-minute statements from the floor as well. So we'll be grateful if we can keep up with time, as time is limited and we do want to get ahead with this conversation. Let me first of all introduce the President of Croatia, Madam President Kolinda Grabar-Kitarovic. Thank you so much for being here, and we give the floor to you for your 5-minute statement.
Thank you very much. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you all. Since I am the first panelist, we have agreed that I will, on behalf of all, thank Her Excellency, the President of the General Assembly, María Fernanda Espinosa, for this event that she has put together. María Fernanda, you truly are a wonderful woman and a leader. So let me start with my remarks. One of the most frequent yet annoying questions that I get from journalists is, how do you balance work and family? It is a valid question. However, it displays at least 2 stereotypes. The first one is that woman is still considered to be the primary caretaker at home, and secondly, that men are hunters. But there is also an unjust prejudice there, because men have the right to balance work and family as well. So now imagine how easy it would be if we achieved the parity and could equally share our responsibilities. Why is it so important? Why do we need women leaders? I will outline 3 main reasons that I believe are important, although there are so many more. First is the respect for fundamental rights. Underrepresentation of women is a serious democratic deficit. Women make more than half the world's population, and if we want to achieve the democratic standards that we declare that we all stick to, then we need to provide for equal representation of women as well. This should be in no way an ideological issue. Equality between women and men is a fundamental right, a value, and a vital aspect in all policy areas and key processes. And in order for that to succeed, parity democracy is essential to improve the democratic quality of representation. The second reason are reasons of economics. They can be regressive and progressive. The regressive ones are economic dependence of women, who, because they are dependent on the provider for the family, can sometimes get into a vicious cycle of violence that they cannot abandon because they cannot live on their own. Then there is economic empowerment that creates a snowball effect, and I've seen it working in the field. When you empower women economically, more and more of them network and start supporting each other. And the third aspect is actually achieving parity. And research shows that countries with higher share of women in executive and non-executive positions in businesses are more prosperous. There is significant positive impact on the GDP and increased productivity. So the EU, if it achieved parity, would increase its GDP between 6.1 and 9.6%. Croatia, about 12%. And worldwide, it would be 31%. So best gender policies reap best economic benefits as well. The third aspect is peace and security, which is our ultimate goal. We often look at women in peace and security as victims, and rightfully so in a way, because they need assistance, especially those who have been victims of horrendous crimes, mass rape, etc. But we need also to look at women as agents of change, of those who bring about reconciliation, rebuilding, and reconstruction, because it's been proven that women are more inclusive and that processes that include women have a more chance of a success. What is the situation today? We have 10 heads of state and only 3 of us have been elected by popular vote. It is really hard to push that glass ceiling or the glass or break that glass labyrinth, as the ombudsperson for gender rights in Croatia has called it. In Croatia, we have equality embedded in the constitution. We have law on equality. We have the ombudsperson. We have the parliamentary committee, the government office for women. Yet the number of women in politics has been on the decline. And the past election actually brought the least number of women in the history of modern Croatia. About 12%, that was raised to 20% because they moved further up the list as men were appointed to ministerial and other government positions. So legislation obviously is not enough. What is needed, this is about inherited and change-resistant social structures, stereotypes, mindsets, that we need to break and that we need to change. Women in Croatia are strong, brave, hardworking, caring, but still we're in the 24th place in the EU when it comes to gender parity. So what can we do? Equality begins at home. It's the question of nature versus nurture, which is very important. Upbringing, social community, schools, education, very important. In most of our countries, we monitor the progress of girls and boys at school, and girls do better than boys in math and in literacy in both elementary and high schools. That proves that we are at least equal. But why do we lose women along the way? Unfortunately, we kill their ambition. We need to stop telling our girls and boys what they should and should not be doing. We need to stop putting them into molds that were created long time ago and that are socially inappropriate today. And I cannot really underpin more the value of education, which is the basis of progress. But unfortunately, segregation remains a main challenge in education as well, as more women tend to go into social sciences and humanities, and boys go into STEM, which is the future. The second aspect is men. We need to work with men. They hold the positions of power, they take decisions, but they also have a share in all this. Thirdly, the media. Their role is indispensable, and they, again, can play a positive and a negative role. Positive in terms of changing stereotypes and promoting positive stories, and negative, keeping the status quo or even regressing to trivialization, sexualization, verbal abuse, which then unfortunately translates to the rest of the society as well. And of course, ladies, we do have the right to our femininity. We don't have to dress and act like men in order to be successful. The next point is civil society. Let us grow, let women's voices be heard. In Croatia, we have the Stop the Silence campaign, which is a campaign about testimonies on violence against women in the area of reproductive health in order to change the situation. And I think that they are making quite great progress. Finally, let us network more. Let us make our personal experiences known and share them so that they may inspire others that there will be fallbacks, but we will succeed. And finally, let me finish with something that I think you will find all very interesting. There is a sculpture outside this building that was done by the renowned Croatian sculptor Antun Augustincic. It's a sculpture of a horse with a horse rider, and it's called Peace, or the harbinger of peace. I don't know if you have looked closely at the sculpture, but the rider, the horse rider, is actually a woman. And when the author was asked why he chose to put a female character on the horse, he said, because I do believe that women symbolize peace a lot more than men. If women were taking decisions, we would reach and maintain peace a lot more easily. And then he was asked, but why the horse? Because it's a war animal. And he said, well, we still have to fight for it. So the statue of the horse is not looking towards this building. It's looking away from the building. The horsewoman is looking straight ahead of her. You see the movement in her cape in the horse, because and she has the globe in the right hand and an olive branch in the left hand. And what it symbolizes is actually not going into this hole, but bringing nations towards peace. So this is my final message. There will be no peace without gender equality. And Croatia's message is, and we're so proud of that sculpture, our message is, there is no country too small. There is no person too weak. Have your voice heard. We can all lead, all of us, so let's do it. Thank you.
Madam President, thank you so much for your remarks. And it's true, just to back that fact up, International Peace Institute saying when women participate in peace processes, the resulting agreement is 35% more likely to last at least 15 years. Thank you very much for your remarks. We're taking away from a lot about gender equality, where we're headed. We'd like to open the floor now to Madam President Kersti Kaljulaid, President of the Republic of Estonia.
Thank you, and I think after Colinda's comprehensive remarks of the technicalities of the gender equality, I would take more of a emotional attitude here, and actually I will disclose to you the 5 attitude points by which I, as a female leader, do stick every day, and I made a promise to myself that I will never ever give up. I will always stick, even if sometimes it is uncomfortable. First of all, as a female leader, please tread carefully. Never accept the discussion about where women are better, that they are softer, that they are so good bridge builders. This is discrimination. We have so many male politicians who are equally good at that. And we have to always refuse, even if they say we are better, we have to refuse. It's well known scientifically that the differences within the groups are bigger than between the groups. So tread carefully. Second attitude point, keep support of the society. Yes, we need to lead, but we need to make sure that we are not, as politicians, already there, running too fast ahead of our society. We need to keep our tempo. And we leave the radical movement to the NGOs, to those ladies who have more freedom, who are not responsible for the cohesion of the society. And we can do, as female leaders, and this is my third point, something very important. If we guarantee the media freedom, the press freedom, and also the rights of the civil society to manifest, act, and demonstrate, not only by the law, but also by the law enforcement, then they can carry out their part of the work for the society, stretching the society's thinking a little bit more for us. And this empowerment point is extremely important, that you do enforce. Because we ladies, female leaders, if we step out and say that we want to be heard and we want to be treated equally, we face ridiculizing, we face sexist comments, we face comments about how we look, etc. This is fine, I can take it. But if me as a female leader, I'm not able to guarantee the safety, the real safety, that ladies speaking up are not beaten up, thrown with tomatoes and rotten eggs, when they demonstrate, or worse, that there will be risks to their life, their health, their families, then I have failed as a female leader. So I do keep my own message is moderate, but I do support all those who want to be more radical and make sure that nothing bad happens to them. And then, personal examples, the final point on attitude. I recently heard of a young woman leader who said that, it's affecting my own self-confidence when I exit the plane and people politely query, are you from protocol? Or you see the flowers going not to you, but to some elder and sometimes even male colleague. Our names internationally are not recognizable. And there are lazy protocols who do not know who exactly is the female leader. And I think she would have felt better from day one if she had known what all of us really know. We all have been pushed aside from these gates, and including here in UN building where there is the sign, only heads of states. We know this has happened to all of us, and if all young female leaders know this is normal in your first year in your mandate, they would not get the hit to their self-confidence. Make a fuss when this happened. Make a huge fuss so that they will remember forever. And then laugh about it with your sisters and tell these stories. Finally, two more serious policy-making points. I'm also the Vice President of the high-level working group, Every Woman, Every Child here, and I thought a lot about how we could actually promote best the position of women, children, adolescent girls in the societies. And there are only two, the most basic policy-making points. You as a female leader, like every other leader who wants to have an equal society, first thing is, the more universal health care you can provide, the better for children and for women. In Estonia, the country where I come from, every child is protected. They have free health care, never mind whether their parents have ever paid a penny of social taxes. If a woman is pregnant, then from the 12th week of pregnancy, they are freely covered. And this lasts until the age of 18, including dental care in our country. This has always been like that. Estonia is the best place to be born. There is the lowest neonatal mortality globally in Estonia. And we are not the richest country in the world. Second point, universal health care, and then the more egalitarian the school system you have, the better for the girls and for women. We spend close to 7% of our GDP on education in Estonia. It's free up to the age of 18, also including school meals. Even university is free, but okay, you have to buy your own meal there. See, these are things which help the whole society, which do not, break up the cohesion in our society, which build our society together, men and women, boys and girls all together, yet are incremental to make sure that girls can thrive and not only survive in our societies. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Madam President. It's really difficult, I believe, as a woman to know the right time to make a fuss when we have to stand for our rights. Thank you very much. Let's now welcome the Prime Minister of Iceland, Her Excellency Katrín Jakobsdóttir.
I was just asked before this panel where the Prime Minister was, so I can share that experience with you. So this has happened to me just 10 minutes ago. And obviously it has happened to all of us. So maybe I don't look the part, but that's actually the first point I want to make, because isn't women leadership about changing not only the face of power, but also the structure of power? If women want to lead, we also have to be very mindful of that the structure of power was created by men, not just decades ago, but centuries ago. So I think it's very important, if we want to think about what we can achieve with women leadership, is to change also the structures of power. Think differently, and we have so many examples of how women leadership has actually changed structures of power. And we need to think about that, because it's not just about not looking the part, it's also about changing the parts of the leader. And we have seen it happen. You mentioned peace and security here earlier. So we have seen that the inclusion of women in peace processes actually increases the likelihood of peace, because women think differently, and they have different aspects because they have played different roles and their experiences are different. The women are the prime caregivers of children. They are more likely to keep the interest of future generations at heart. To my mind come women like Gro Harlem Brundtland, who was in the leadership of actually talking about sustainable development and climate change, and being mindful of that when we talk about the environment, we need to talk about economy, we need to talk about society. And that was because she was exercising new ways of power. And if it's anything urgent in today's politics, it's to respond to the concerns of the younger generations, the school children that are flocking out every Friday to demonstrate. I'm a prime minister, I should be worried about demonstrations, but I celebrate and embrace those demonstrations because it's the young generation showing us where to go, that they are worried about the future, and we can actually change it, but we have to react, and we have to react fast. So that's my first point. We have to think about the structure of power, because the sad fact is, even though we have all those good examples, women are still underrepresented, both in local and global decision-making bodies, and where big decisions are made that will impact today and future generations, women are far too often absent or underrepresented. So that's my point number one. My point number two is that if we want to bring more women to power, we need to have the right conditions. And I totally agree with my Estonian colleague here. There is a tendency to address gender inequality as almost an accidental phenomenon, based on some sort of misunderstanding maybe, perhaps mainly rooted in ourselves, in women's insecurity. And this approach delivers us solutions that center on women themselves, but leaves out the structural approach that's needed to end structural inequalities. So that's why investment in gender equality fosters employment, family well-being, economic growth, as highlighted in the Nordic Gender Effect at Work, which is a knowledge product that summarizes the political reforms that are the key pillars for the Nordic success on gender equality. I can take a personal example. I have 3 sons. I have a husband. I wouldn't be where I am today if we didn't have shared parental leave in Iceland, if we didn't have universal childcare. And investment in those social infrastructures actually creates more growth in the economy. We are a perfect case of that in Iceland, where we have very high participation in the labor market of women, because they don't have to choose between having a family and having a career. And that's a very good investment for the economy, but it's also the right and the just thing to do, because we are half of the population, and neither man nor women should have to make that choice. Both men and women have the right to have a family and a career. And I could also add that universal healthcare, education, all of those social factors matter so much to ensure more equality in our structures. The infrastructure is what enables women to take part in the public life, and it's also the cornerstone to women's economic independence. And we know that gender equality at home coincides with gender equality at work. So we need to start at home also. So that's my point number 2. And then I have the third and last point, because enabling men and women to share domestic and caring responsibilities, it's not enough to ensure women's participation in decision-making. Think about the Me Too revelations. If the public space, be it on the internet or in schools, workplaces, parliaments, parks, streets, is hostile to women, we will never reach that much desired gender balance. And it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable that one third of women actually has met with sexual harassment or gender-based harassment and violence. We're in the 21st century. This should be over. This should be over. And if it's anything that we've learned from the Me Too movement, is that we have far too long to go. But this is my first time here, and I sense a great sense of solidarity here in this room. And I think the key to success is the solidarity not only of women, but also of men, because we have to do this together. The international and regional conventions that are the foundations of women's universal rights have moved mountains, and we can move more mountains. We know how to continue. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Prime Minister. Yes, it's 2019 already. This should be over, right? Thank you very much. Let's now turn the floor to Dr. Diane Keita, Minister of Cooperation and African Integration, Republic of Guinea.
Bonjour. Distingués invités, j'ai une expérience totalement différente de ce qui vient d'être raconté. Je fais partie de ces jeunes, il y a bien longtemps, qui ont été recrutés dans les systèmes de leadership des Nations Unies et ont été envoyés sur le terrain. Et aujourd'hui, peut-être signe du ciel, j'ai une grosse pensée pour tous les passagers de Ethiopian 302. Parce que parmi toutes ces personnes qui sont décédées aujourd'hui, il y a beaucoup de collègues, beaucoup d'anciens collègues, des êtres humains qui ont consacré leur vie à sauver celle des autres. Ce parcours, quand on rentre toute jeune, presque en premier emploi, dans une équipe paritaire aux Nations Unies, la parité existait déjà. Mais ce fut un temps où le congé paternité n'existait pas. Je me souviens que c'est notre groupe qui a mentionné cela à l'époque. On était 9 jeunes femmes et 9 jeunes gens, où l'un des jeunes gens avait sa femme qui venait d'accoucher et qui n'avait pas de congé puisqu'on venait d'être recruté. On s'est dit, mais si les femmes ont des congés, pourquoi lui ne peut pas aller s'occuper de sa femme qui, de toute façon, à New York, ne connaît personne et ne peut pas se débrouiller? Ça a posé un problème presque juridique aux Nations Unies. On lui a trouvé 4 jours de congé. Aujourd'hui, personne ne peut se rappeler de ça parce que c'est rentré dans les mœurs et dans la légalité. Je dis cela parce que le mentorat a été important. En grandissant dans une carrière, hommes et femmes ont apporté leur contribution. On ne peut certainement pas tous les citer. Mais travailler sur le terrain, dans plus de 12 pays pour les Nations Unies, j'ai largement payé mon dû, dans plus de 4 pays humanitaires, où vous savez quand vous partez, vous ne savez pas quand vous allez rentrer, où vous voyez des femmes dans des conditions absolument extraordinaires, qui n'ont rien pour survivre. Et encore, elles ont un peu d'espoir quand elles vous voient, et en se disant, voilà nos besoins. Où vous avez vu également des femmes violées, qui supportaient, ont réussi à devenir des médecins. Où vous avez vu des femmes qui ont grandi dans des camps, qui en sortent deviennent des grandes enseignantes. Je crois que la leçon ici, quand on est femme au pouvoir, c'est justement de réaliser que la femme est un tout. C'est pour ça que je salue toutes les agences des Nations Unies dans leur diversité. Toutes. Parce que quand on prend l'horizon 2030 des objectifs de développement durable, chaque petite partie de ces objectifs est une partie du corps d'une jeune femme ou d'une jeune fille. Tout correspond à quelque chose. Il ne sert à rien, et je veux le dire pourtant, que l'éducation est essentielle. Et quand je parle d'éducation, je ne parle pas d'éducation forcément formelle. 2/3 des jeunes femmes dans mon pays sont dans les villages, sont dans les milieux ruraux, et elles ont besoin d'un autre genre d'éducation. Ce qui est important, c'est l'éducation à la vie, l'éducation civique, l'éducation à la tradition, l'éducation à la culture, l'éducation à la religion. Nous sommes dans un monde aujourd'hui où même pratiquer sa religion devient difficile. Très difficile. Où envoyez-vous vos enfants pour apprendre les préceptes de la religion musulmane? C'est une bonne question. J'étais dans un pays où on m'a dit « il vaut mieux prendre un professeur classique, puisqu'aujourd'hui ça peut mener à tout ». Mais également, pendant que les femmes, dans les questions de paix et sécurité, sont toujours au devant de la scène, sans hésiter, parce qu'elles ont des familles en charge, elles ont des besoins à régler, et aussi parce qu'en termes de droits humains, pendant longtemps, elles ont été ségrégées, et que pour cela, elles savent faire la balance et accepter d'être diplomate pour s'assurer que le bien-être du plus large puisse passer, il y a toujours la question des violences sexuelles et celles basées sur le genre. Qui reste? On en parle ou on n'en parle pas? Celles qui sont les plus violentées n'en parlent souvent pas. On remarque celles qui, comment dirais-je, ont des stigmas visibles. Et quand on parle de violence, on parle souvent en termes de guerre. Mais en santé, il y a beaucoup de violence. Et si on se mariait juste un peu plus tard pour que son corps ait le temps de grandir et de pouvoir mettre des bébés dans un corps de femme adulte, c'est important. Et ça permettrait aussi d'aller à l'école un peu plus longtemps. Les jeunes femmes, les femmes que j'ai rencontrées sur mon parcours m'ont inspirée, m'ont appris. Je suis tombée plus d'une fois en essayant d'aider ou en pensant bien faire. Quand ça arrive, on se relève. Si ça fait mal, on pleure et on continue sa bataille. Donc, ayant eu la chance de travailler 29 ans pour les Nations Unies, je me suis dit, il était peut-être temps de rentrer chez moi, même si ce n'était pas l'âge de la retraite, même si ce n'est pas l'âge de la pré-retraite, pour aller faire, je crois, ce que le secrétaire général appelait « walk the talk », aller donner à ce pays qui est le mien. Je viens du pays de l'enfant noir, de Kamara Lai. C'est un grand roman connu en Afrique de l'Ouest. Ce pays est magnifique. J'ai probablement l'un des plus beaux pays de la planète. Mais les défis qui y sont aussi énorme que sa beauté. La beauté doit se préserver. Et il y a forcément parfois des reculs. C'est pour ça que pour moi, l'éducation est absolument essentielle. Nous avons vécu en décembre dernier dans mon pays un recul en termes des questions sur la polygamie. Parce qu'un journaliste, dans son métier, a une remarque provocante dans son émission par rapport aux enfants naturels ou aux enfants nés de femmes dans ce genre de régime. Voilà un groupe de femmes qui se lève, qui dit non, il faut que ça change, il faut qu'on aille au Parlement et qu'on fasse adopter officiellement la polygamie. Était-ce la solution? La société civile est là. Les législateurs sont là. Les juristes sont là. L'autre solution aurait été simplement d'aller vers le droit. Et cette bataille se mène en ce moment entre le gouvernement et le Parlement, parce que le gouvernement ne peut pas comprendre que 59 ans d'un pays, parmi les premiers pays en Afrique qui avaient reconnu, qui avaient arrêté la polygamie, qu'on revienne à notre 60e anniversaire à ce niveau-là. Juste des détails, mais des détails qui impliquent, qui ont une importance, un impact sur la vie des femmes de mon pays tous les jours. Le dernier point que j'aimerais aborder, c'est quel est le message à faire passer à la jeune génération, cette génération qu'on appelle les millénaires. Il faut leur faire passer aussi bien aux garçons qu'aux filles. Aussi bien, il faut promouvoir les femmes aujourd'hui, mais il faut promouvoir les garçons aussi. Ce sont les femmes, encore dans nos contrées, qui élèvent leurs fils. Ce sont les femmes jusqu'à l'âge de 7-8 ans qui élèvent les garçons. Il dépend de nous, en général, de ce que nos garçons soient bien élevés. Je crois que c'est une chose qu'il ne faut pas oublier dans ce que nous faisons. Mon fils est un he for she, et j'en suis fière, et il le pratique tous les jours. Mesdames, cela nous revient ici, cela nous revient partout. Nos garçons sont élevés par nous, et je vous remercie.
Thank you very much, Minister Keita. Let's now turn the floor to Federal Counsel Alain Berset, Head of the Federal Department of Home Affairs in Switzerland.
Oui, merci beaucoup. Je dois vous dire tout d'abord, c'est pour moi évidemment un grand honneur. Je suis aussi très reconnaissant d'être invité à ce panel avec deux présidentes, une première ministre, une ministre, représentant autant de pays membres des Nations Unies. Et quand on sait que sur ce panel, il y a une part importante des présidentes actuellement actives dans le monde, on peut se dire que c'est magnifique pour ce panel, mais cela montre aussi l'immense effort qu'il y a encore à réaliser quand on tient compte du fait qu'il y a plus de 200 pays dans le monde. Très honoré, donc très heureux d'être avec vous aujourd'hui pour parler de ce thème. Vous dire aussi que je viens d'un pays, la Suisse, qui a déjà connu 5 femmes présidentes. Oui, mais n'applaudissez pas, parce qu'en fait, c'est trop facile chez nous, on change de président ou de présidente chaque année. et que, en fait, dans cette situation, 5 présidentes, en fait, c'est beaucoup trop peu. J'aimerais avec vous également partager l'expérience que nous avons faite pour une démocratie suisse. Elle passe souvent pour être la démocratie la plus ancienne du monde. En fait, la démocratie suisse est une des démocraties les plus jeunes du monde, parce que nous avons le droit de vote et d'éligibilité des femmes que depuis 1971. C'est très très tard. Et nous sommes depuis donc 1971 une démocratie complète. Et nous avons pu aussi mesurer avec cette expérience qu'est-ce que cela a changé dans la prise de décision, dans la participation à la politique, parce que c'est quelque chose chez nous qui est très récent. Et j'aimerais, parce que beaucoup de choses ont déjà été dites, me concentrer peut-être dans ce cadre sur 3 points. Le premier point, c'est que nous savons que les sociétés égalitaires sont plus compétitives. Elles permettent mieux le développement des potentiels de chacune et de chacun, sur le plan individuel, mais aussi sur le plan collectif. Et nous savons en parallèle que la diversité ne peut pas exister sans égalité, mais que la diversité est très importante parce que c'est l'innovation. Ce sont les nouvelles idées qui peuvent, par la confrontation de différentes réalités, émerger. Et avec cela, la force de la diversité, l'importance de l'égalité pour la compétitivité des sociétés, on doit ajouter un autre élément encore à la réflexion qui dit que c'est juste et c'est la moindre des choses qu'il y ait une participation égale des femmes et des hommes, non seulement à la vie économique, mais aussi à la vie politique. C'est non seulement quelque chose de juste, c'est aussi quelque chose d'efficace et de nécessaire sur le plan économique pour garantir un développement qui soit stable et qui soit de bonne qualité. C'était mon premier point. Pas de diversité sans égalité, et la diversité, c'est l'innovation, et l'égalité, c'est aussi ce qui donne les sociétés compétitives. Le deuxième point, et là j'aimerais me référer à quelques expériences réalisées ou que nous avons pu voir dans mon pays, la Suisse, ça a été de voir comment les décisions sur le plan politique sont prises et qu'est-ce qui a changé avec la participation des femmes au gouvernement suisse. Et c'est très frappant pour moi de savoir qu'il y a une quarantaine d'années, c'est parce que la première femme membre du gouvernement suisse a été très active qu'il a été possible de réviser le droit matrimonial. Une révision du droit matrimonial qui, dans mon pays, la Suisse, a aboli, a supprimé le rôle de chef de famille qui était garanti toujours pour l'homme. C'est une femme qui a dû, membre du gouvernement, avancer avec cette réforme et faire progresser notre pays dans ce domaine. C'est une autre femme dans notre gouvernement qui a introduit des éléments centraux de notre pays, comme l'assurance maladie, qui a permis la reconnaissance du travail éducatif, le partage des pensions dont je parlais hier, et qui est un des grands sujets de cette conférence, et qui a également été déterminante dans l'introduction du congé maternité. Et puis tout récemment, mon pays, la Suisse, a décidé, c'est une décision difficile et courageuse, d'abandonner à terme l'énergie nucléaire, de pouvoir construire notre politique énergétique sur d'autres éléments que l'énergie nucléaire. Et il est communément admis en Suisse qu'une telle décision, aussi visionnaire et courageuse, a été notamment prise parce que c'était une des périodes dans laquelle il y avait une majorité de femmes au gouvernement suisse. Pour dire que ça change les décisions et que d'avoir un équilibre, d'avoir la diversité dans tous les domaines de la vie, pas seulement dans un gouvernement, mais aussi au Parlement, aussi dans la vie privée, dans les entreprises et aussi bien sûr dans les institutions internationales, c'est un élément central pour le succès de nos sociétés. Puis le troisième point, le dernier point que je souhaite mentionner, il a été question dans ce panel d'égalité sur le plan privé, à la maison, d'égalité au travail, d'égalité dans la politique. Ce sont des éléments extrêmement importants qui ne doivent pas seulement être discutés ici. Et je crois que c'est très important qu'on puisse faire de l'égalité non pas seulement un thème en soi, discuté pour lui-même, mais un thème qui doit apparaître dans toutes les politiques. Dans toutes les politiques, qui doit être un thème transversal, fort, dans toutes les politiques publiques. Et pour ça, naturellement, il y a également besoin non seulement du niveau national, mais aussi de l'exemple très important donné par les institutions internationales. L'ONU est un exemple à ce sujet. Et j'aimerais aussi d'ailleurs souligner les efforts qui ont été, les très grands travaux qui ont été réalisés dans ce cadre. La diversité, l'égalité, ce sont les forces de nos sociétés.
Councillor Bursey, thank you very much for your remarks. Setting the scene once more, we'll have a video message as well from the New Zealand Prime Minister. But before I get to that and to the floor, I'd just like to ask quick questions, 60 seconds, if you will, on just follow-ups from your commentary earlier. Let me start with the Prime Minister of Iceland, Jakobsdóttir. Madam Prime Minister, you mentioned the Me Too movement earlier. In just 60 seconds, has awareness changed into action in the last couple of years?
Yes, I think actually because Iceland is number one when it comes to gender equality on the list of World Economic Forum. So I think it was quite a shock for us in Iceland to see all the stories that the Me Too movement revealed. And the biggest shock was seeing that the most shocking stories came from women of foreign origin in Iceland, because they actually suffered from double discrimination, being immigrants and being women. So I think that was a real eye-opener for Icelandic society. And I would like to say on a political level, we have seen change. The government has implemented actions against sexual harassment and gender-based violence, but also the trade unions, the employers' unions, the big workplaces, they are actually implementing actions. So I think what we saw was this open discussion created action, but on a personal level, I think it was really inspiring to meet a lot of guys, a lot of men I've known for many years, coming to me in the street and saying, you know what, I started thinking. And I realized how the culture has been saturated by this gender-based discourse. And I think that's also a very valuable and inspiring experience to sense that it made really people think.
Councillor Bursey, we know that in Switzerland you actually focus on promoting this awareness in men and boys as well. Has the Me Too movement had that impact on gender equality?
C'est évidemment un mouvement qui a confronté non seulement des sociétés entières, des groupes de population, mais aussi chaque individu à son propre comportement. Et de ce point de vue, c'est naturellement quelque chose de très favorable. Je me souviens que peut-être en Suisse, on a été moins brutalement touché que c'est le cas dans d'autres pays. Ça a été moins thématisé avec cette violence qu'on a pu voir ailleurs, mais ça ne nous a pas fait moins réfléchir. C'est un élément, je pense, extrêmement important. Et ce que vous avez mentionné là, pour moi, est absolument central. C'est une question d'éducation qui concerne tout le monde. Et ce serait une erreur absolue de penser que de s'engager, de se battre pour l'égalité, c'est une question qui doit concerner les femmes d'abord, qui doivent s'engager pour conquérir cette égalité. Ça n'est pas comme ça. C'est quelque chose qui doit vraiment concerner l'ensemble de la société. Ça commence avec la formation, avec l'éducation, à l'école évidemment, dans le cadre de la famille, mais pas seulement sur le plan individuel, aussi sur le plan collectif. Et l'éducation des enfants et des jeunes garçons dans ce cadre-là est naturellement extrêmement importante. Ce que nous voyons, c'est que les choses bougent, les choses changent. Et le fait de thématiser ces questions, le fait d'en discuter, d'en débattre, d'avoir un débat ouvert à ce sujet est très positif.
Thank you very much for those remarks. Let's turn to the video message from the New Zealand Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern, first.
Ina mana, ina reo, ina wahine toa, tina koutou katoa. Those with strength, those with a voice, strong women, greetings to you all. Welcome everyone to this session on how women leaders change the world. My name is Jacinda Ardern. I'm the Prime Minister of New Zealand. And I am among only 5% of world leaders who are women. And yet my leadership in New Zealand is not unusual. Our Governor-General, our Chief Justice, myself, we are all women, and I am the third female Prime Minister to lead New Zealand. I have to say that in many ways that probably contributed to the fact that as a young woman, I did not question whether or not my gender would get in the way of me following my dreams and my aspirations. And that has to be one of our goals, to make sure that for young women and women around the world, their gender isn't something that comes into their mind as being a blockage or a barrier to their future aspirations or to their opportunities. However, Does the fact that you don't see your gender as being a blockage mean that it isn't one? Or does our gender even subconsciously or overtly in some way affect our confidence even to achieve the goals and aspirations that we have? I think it is time that we acknowledge that around the world, whether we're a developed country or whether we're a developing one, there are issues that we will share when it comes to gender equality, pay equity, freedom from violence, access to opportunities. These are all things we continue to pursue to varying degrees, and they're all things that we must continue to work in solidarity with one another to pursue. But underneath all of those important, incredibly important goals that we have, we must also continue to think about how we look after one another as women, what we do to boost the confidence of our women, to not only carve out a path for themselves, but when opportunities do arise, to continue to take them. That, I think, is one of the underlying issues that we will continue to face as we equally progress towards those other outstanding issues. I guess my one thought that I at least try and maintain in the leadership position I have is the words of one of our youngest members of Parliament at the time in the 1970s. Her name was Marilyn Waring. I heard her once say that women fight so hard to get in the room that there will always be two kinds, those who once they get in the room pull the door behind them, and those which wedge their foot in and pull every woman they can through before the door closes. Let us all put a foot in the door as we continue to bring women into leadership and as we all collectively try and pursue the issues that will ultimately bring women into a position of having true equality. As I close today, I want to acknowledge our Minister for Women, who's there with you, Julianne Genter, who does an incredible job on behalf of Aotearoa New Zealand. But I wish you, all of you, well as you move into this session, and know that you have my solidarity. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa.
Right, we'll open the floor now to interventions from the floor, and please be mindful we have 2 minutes for every comment, and of course you can press the microphone button. It will be quite free spoken, and the microphone will start blinking when time is up. We'll start with Mauritius. We have the Vice Prime Minister and Minister of Gender Equality.
Thank you. You will agree with me, as leaders, we can push the participation of women in the public sector. For example, in Mauritius, women are holding key positions in the public service. But when it comes to private sector, so we are lacking behind. So my question is addressed to the Prime-Minister of Iceland. What is the way forward to encourage the private sector to have more women occupying higher positions? Thank you.
Madam Prime Minister.
I'm not sure that I have all the answers, but what we did in Iceland was that we implemented a legislation on having equal numbers of men and women in the boards of bigger companies. And what we have hoped would happen was that we would have more female CEOs. That hasn't happened the way we think it should have happened, so there has been, it has gone too slow, in my opinion. But I think the step on having this legislation on the boards, because it was very controversial and a lot of people opposed it, but what we sense now is that there is very much increased positivity having both women and men at the board table. So I do hope that we will see the results in the next coming years to have more female CEOs in the private sector.
Yeah, I believe the latest World Economic Forum report puts women at only 34% of managerial positions, and I believe that's if we have data available across the world. So there's still a long way to go. Let's now move to Slovakia, Chairwoman of Foreign Affairs Committee of the Slovak Parliament.
Thank you very much, Excellencies, for your extremely inspiring words. I want just to tell you how encouraging it is to hear your stories. And I would like to come back to the words of Federica Mogherini from the last panel about women in foreign and security policies, because I have the same experience myself. I got appointed as head or chair of the Foreign Affairs Committee, a whole male committee in the Slovak Parliament at the age of 32, and I know from my own experience how hard it is that a woman politician, especially a young one, doesn't start from zero but from a minus, and has to fight twice as hard to be respected and to be successful in her field. And I would like to ask you if you personally are involved in your own countries in any programs for encouraging young women to be leaders and to go into politics, because I see now how important it is and how encouraging it is to have such role models as yourselves. Thank you.
President Paula-Mae.
I am involved in Digi Girls movement, and I'm also involved, in Estonia we have, international community has created a situation that there are more female ambassadors posted to talent than male. And they do a wonderful mentoring program, and if they invite me, I do go there as well. We have unicorn squads in Estonia, and I'm looking for ways of also bringing them out on international scheme so that they could also start already mentoring and encouraging the elder people.
Thank you very much. Would you like to add to that, Minister Keita? President Grabar.
Yes, thank you. I would like to add to that because I was 24 years old when I entered the diplomatic service in Croatia. And as it was mentioned today in the panel, when I got posted with my husband to Canada, my first posting was people would usually extend their hand to him to say hello, and he'd have to say, actually, she's the boss, she's the one, she's the diplomat. So what I'm trying to do is raise that awareness about gender equality, that it's not necessarily men. The number of women at our Ministry of Foreign Affairs is on the rise, but unfortunately, hierarchically looking, the top positions are occupied by men. But as President of Croatia, I always insist that they give me female candidates for ambassadorial and other managerial posts, and I try to encourage through work with the diplomatic academy and everybody else to push for the ambition for women to reach higher posts.
Right. Madam President, thank you very much for that. We turn now to the Russian Federation Chair of the State Duma's Family Affairs Committee.
Спасибо. Уважаемые девочки, которые добились столь многого, сидящие перед нами в президиуме, я вас поздравляю прежде всего. А потом думаю про себя, сколько же вам приходится работать, сколько же приходится переживать, получив такую высокую должность. У нас в Российской Федерации вопрос о том, что женщина может или не может быть политиком, не стоит. У нас, правда, стоит вопрос такой же, нужна квота или не нужна, но большинство считает, квота не нужна, если женщина захотела, то она обязательно может стать политиком. Я, например, 7 созывов в Государственной Думе. С первого созыва со мной воевали 16 мужчин. Ну, я выиграла. Это говорит о чем? Это говорит о том, если женщина сама чего-то очень хочет, добивается, то она обязательно этого добьется. Но с другой стороны, конечно, безусловно, многие люди, когда мы встречаемся, они говорят, женщин бы побольше, потому что они добрые, они внимательные, они могут сделать для нас что-то больше и в образовании, и в здравоохранении. Я с ними согласна и в то же время думаю, что ведь быть просто доброй, красивой, жалостливой – это еще не все. Надо быть еще очень умной, талантливой, много учиться. Поэтому женщины наши многие, не получается, потому как дети появляются. Мне очень понравилось выступление с представительницей из Боливии, она правильно говорила. У нас, кроме того, что женщина во власти, еще ведь она должна выполнять и роль мамы. Поэтому у меня есть вот такой вопрос. Как вы думаете, умные женщины, сидящие в этом зале, нужно ли нам проводить мониторинги? Вот добились, например, в стране чего-то, где женщина президент, или не добились, или добились большего, чем где мужчина. Вот тогда мы можем точно сказать, обязательно нужно женщину-президента. У нас много женщин, которые участвуют во власти. Это и в Совете Федерации у нас является председатель, и председатель банка центрального, и 2 премьер-министра, и много очень депутатов в Государственной Думе, 71 женщина. Вот перед мной сидят еще вот профессии тоже разные. Вот, пожалуйста, вам космонавт здесь присутствует. Поэтому я бы вас спросила, нужен такой мониторинг или не нужен? Ведь у нас задача-то главная какая? Чтобы люди жили хорошо, чтобы был мир во всем мире. А женщины, наверное, вот это могут сделать лучше, чем мужчины. У нас на Кавказе есть хорошая традиция. Если женщина вышла с белым платком и махнула, останавливаются бои. Женщина может сделать очень многое, я согласна. И что вот здесь вот все собираются и обсуждают, это очень-очень важно. Вот вопрос у меня вот такой, я сама его себе задаю. Нужен ли такой мониторинг? Женщина-президент добилась больше, чем президент-мужчина. Спасибо.
Thank you very much for your remarks. I'll turn the floor to Minister Keita for very short remarks as we're running out of time.
Merci. Je pense que c'était une question très importante. Les études se font déjà, Madame, de par le monde. Il y a des études très, très sérieuses qui sont faites et où on démontre de plus en plus que le fait qu'il y ait des femmes leaders de très haut niveau, les questions économiques, sociales sont traitées différemment. Je ne me rappelle pas de l'étude, mais j'en ai lu une juste hier encore. Ça, la question ne se pose absolument pas. Je crois que là où le problème se pose, pour le moment, d'après également une étude, je crois qu'il y a à peu près 21 femmes chefs d'État aujourd'hui. Il n'y en a pas plus que ça. Donc, plus que d'essayer de savoir le résultat qu'elles apportent, c'est de les appuyer, de continuer à en avoir plus autour d'elles, en avoir plus dans les campagnes. Cela me paraît extrêmement important parce que, comme je le disais tout à l'heure, les femmes sont complètes. Tous les objectifs de développement durable sont une partie de notre corps, concernent une partie de notre physique. Être belle et jolie, c'est très très bien. Mais il faut faire du sport, c'est bien de faire du sport. On ne parle pas beaucoup de sport. Être dans la culture, il y a des femmes qui ne sont peut-être pas dans la politique politicienne, mais elles font de la culture, elles font de la poésie qui influence la vie des sociétés. Toutes les grandes sportives célèbres, je crois, sont également des grands modèles. Et dans cela, pour les questions de femmes, ce qui me paraît important, l'équité autant que l'égalité. L'égalité est cruciale, mais l'équité pour celles qui ne sont pas arrivées au niveau des autres me paraît absolument, absolument essentielle. Je ne vais pas monopoliser la parole à ce stade-là, mais je crois qu'il faut accompagner les femmes leaders pour qu'il y en ait plus. Et vous qui êtes dans cette salle, on est ensemble. On est ensemble et ça, permettez-moi, il faut absolument que je le dise, j'ai été trop souvent du côté des Nations Unies où je me demandais pourquoi les États membres n'arrivent pas à comprendre leur propre organisation à adopter des règles en faveur des femmes. Il y a toujours un blocage quelque part. Et maintenant, je suis du côté du gouvernement. Moi, ce que je lance aux États membres, dont je fais partie maintenant, s'il vous plaît, soyons sérieux avec les règles que nous adoptons au sein des Nations Unies dans les salles de négociation. Dans les salles de négociation. Parce que ça fait la différence dans la vie de toutes les femmes. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Let's now turn to Niger, Minister of Promotion of Women and Protection of Children.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Donc, le présent thème nous amène à rappeler un leadership affiché au niveau mondial dont le Niger est témoin. C'est la visite au Niger sous l'impulsion de notre président, Alhaji Mahamadou, de la secrétaire générale adjointe, Madame Amina Mohamed, en juillet 2018, avec à la tête de sa délégation de femmes leaders de haut niveau. Et ces femmes leaders, je rappelle, il y a ONU Femmes, il y a l'Union africaine, il y a plusieurs autres ministres et ambassadeurs. Et cette visite a apporté beaucoup de changements dans nos activités quotidiennes. Parce que là, ça a renforcé l'engagement des chefs traditionnels et des chefs religieux dans la lutte contre les violences basées sur le genre. Cette visite également a créé un cadre formel des femmes leaders et qui aujourd'hui sont en train vraiment d'être soutenues à travers la création de la Direction nationale de la promotion de leadership féminin au niveau de notre ministère, le ministère de la promotion de la femme, et de l'Observatoire national pour la promotion des genres. Et là, nous sommes en train de nous organiser parce que nous menons un plaidoyer par rapport au quota des femmes au niveau des postes électifs, puisque nous étions à une seule femme en 1993, à une seule femme au Parlement, et aujourd'hui, elles sont 29. Vous voyez donc, le combat a été bien mené et nous voulons le rehausser aussi, puisque c'est du 10 à 15%. Et pour les postes électifs également, nous voulons le rehausser de 25 à 30%. Pour les postes nominatifs, pardon. Voilà, donc le Niger a une complicité entre femmes ministres, femmes députées et les femmes de la société civile. Donc voilà ce que je voudrais livrer, parce que je me dis qu'avec des exemples patents, d'autres réussiront. Merci.
Thank you. Thank you very much for those remarks. We turn now to Georgia, Deputy Head of Administration of the President.
Okay. Thank you very much for this opportunity to listen to such a distinguished group of women leaders. I'm very proud to say that Georgia has joined the countries that have women presidents last year, and we have our first woman president. It is very important that women get together and start talking about the examples they can set. Each and every one of you is an example. Every one of you paves the way to the girls that they can do anything with their lives. They can go all the way up in politics, in business, or any other field they decide to engage in. Despite the fact that number of women in different fields is growing, it's still not enough, and many panelists and the members of this panel have mentioned this. One thing that is quite obvious that in business and social spheres, women manage to become more active and achieve more. However, politics still remains quite closed for women. And one of the things that I believe women must do, and we must do, is break the main stereotype that politics is a dirty thing and there is no place for women. So, in my opinion, the major pushback has to come to politics. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think we have run out of time for this roundtable. We appreciate your time. Any of the questions or statements we haven't been able to get, roundtable number 3 will be there. But for now, let's please thank our panelists here for their time and for their discussions. Thank you.
1, 2, 3, testing. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Thank you very much for our third and final session of this morning. Your Excellencies, distinguished speakers, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to you all. I'm Fouliba Thibault from Al Jazeera, and it's an honor and a pleasure for me to be here with you today at the UN General Assembly in presence of such outstanding women. Thank you, Madam President, for hosting us. Thank you for your leadership and your commitment to women and girls around the world. Now, our third and final session this morning will reflect on the future of women's leadership and explore how we can grow the number of women leaders while at the same time ensuring that they're more fairly represented at all levels of society, across the economic, political sectors of societies around the world. Now, just to help set up our discussion, a quick recap of what we've heard this morning so far. As has been highlighted, women's leadership matters. Having a critical mass of women making important decisions is the right step for human development in all countries, whether they are developing or developed, whether they're living in peace or recovering from conflict. It's been proven that societies with greater gender equality not only offer better socioeconomic opportunities, but also tend to grow faster and more equitably. And as we've heard this morning as well, there are gains to be had in poverty reduction, environmental sustainability, decision-making on a wider set of issues. Fair representation and the participation of women in governance is also a precondition to ensuring lasting peace and genuine democracy. So, we know that women play a crucial role, as we've heard, in peace building, in consolidating peace, as we've seen in countries like Rwanda, Burundi, Bosnia, and Liberia, just to name a few. Women made significant contributions towards the resolution of years of conflict. So we know about the incentives. They are there. They're clear incentives, and yet inequality persists, as we've heard this morning. In the political sphere, the number of women globally are very low. We represent half of the global population, but only a fraction of leadership positions in every region of the world. We've heard the statistics. I'm not going to go over them again. So the important questions that we want to ask for this third roundtable discussion this morning is, how do we change this? How do we achieve greater gender equality? When can we expect some major progress on women's leadership globally? What are the barriers that women need to overcome? What practices should we put in place to encourage their political participation and accelerate progress for the current, but also the next generation of women leaders? We are looking to the future now. What do we do today about and for the next generation of women leaders? So those are some of the issues and questions that we'll be addressing in this session. We will first hear from our distinguished panelists here, who will each have about 5 minutes for their introductory remarks, and then we'll open up the floor for interventions from the member states and other participants here. And as in the previous sessions, you'll have about 2 minutes for your question or remarks, and I please ask you that you stick to the timing, to those 2 minutes, so that we can allow for a greater participation of all the participants here. So, we look forward, of course, to an insightful and dynamic discussion. Without further ado, let me introduce our first speaker. The Honorable Mary Robinson is a global leader on issues of women empowerment, a passionate and forceful advocate for gender equality, women's participation in peace building, and human dignity. She was the first female president of Ireland, of course, and a United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights. She's a member of the Elders and a former chair of the Council of Women World Leaders, which is a group of exceptional women leaders who've paved the way for other women to find their voices in the political sphere. So, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mary Robinson, President and founder of the Mary Robinson Foundation Climate Justice.
Thank you very much, and I'd like to thank the President of the General Assembly, President Espinosa, for having this high-level series of roundtables. I was listening to the young leaders at high level in the last panel as well. And because I'm now an elder, in fact I'm chair of the elders, everyone is young to me. But I have to say, it is really exciting to come into this UN building, which I've come into many times over the years, and see it full to the brim of women and of young women and of very young girls. You know, they're milling all around the place. And there's a wonderful sense of mentoring, recognizing those who hold either high office or positions of responsibility, and knowing how important it is. And, you know, we've just marked International Women's Day, and my fellow elder, Graça Michel, put it very well. She wrote something about International Women's Day. She said, "It's a timely opportunity to challenge patriarchal structures and psychologies that continue to treat women as second-class citizens and deny them their full human rights. And it's a moment to fight back against the scourge of gender-based violence that blights the lives of so many millions of women in every corner of the globe." And in preparation for International Women's Day, I had a kind of interesting thing. I wasn't central to it, but it just took off. 3 women who've held responsibility in the UN system, Susanna Malkara, Helen Clark, and Irina Bokova, sent around the text of an open letter. And within 2 or 3 days, 40-something of us had signed up, all of us having had previous experience in the UN, and now other women have joined. Why? Because we know that if women's leadership is going to really matter, we have to connect it. We have to make the connections at all levels. Another example I would give is when we were trying to get gender into the climate system. In Cancun, which was the conference after Copenhagen, we formed women ministers on gender and climate change. And we made quite a lot of progress, and but the women ministers realized that they had the power to determine who would be in their delegations. And they opened space for grassroots women, for indigenous women, for young women to come along and have their voices heard. Before that, their voices would only be heard in the civil society, often quite far away from where the delegates were meeting. But when you have the power to make space for a younger woman, for an indigenous woman, for a grassroots woman, that's another piece of advice that I would give to those of you who are in a position to determine who will be in the delegation, who are in a position to decide. They open up the space. We've got to make room for the women's voices that are authentic about what's happening in their society, the violence or the climate change impacts, and the frontline defenders. It's very tragic in our world today that those who are protecting the water rights and the land rights of their communities tend to be the most at risk. These brave human rights defenders are very much at risk. So part of what we have to do is think of strategies that open up a space, particularly to younger women, and make sure that younger women and youth generally is on any panel now that is discussing, so that we get that intergenerational equity. I'm really very interested in the intergenerational potential now, because I think if we don't have a conversation between generations, we won't really understand that young people have their own priorities and their own focus and their own concerns and their own barriers. They're different, and so I think that's really very important. And I'd like to quote just one other woman. I'm shortening my speech because we're out of time, I think, for the 5 minutes that we were supposed to have. I wanted to quote Rosa Luxemburg, who fought for freedom in Poland and Germany before, during, and after the First World War. And she defined freedom. She said, "Freedom is always freedom for the one who thinks differently." And that is really important in our societies. Her words are an inspiration and a challenge, because freedom means diversity, it means a relentless questioning, a refusal to accept orthodoxies and dogmas from any political movement. So I think it's in that spirit that women can provide and encourage that diversity. Men make war and women build communities. I mean, that's why it's so important to have women's leadership. I've been reflecting on this for a long time. I'm more encouraged because I'm seeing more and more younger women taking the responsibility and doing it confidently as women. And that's what we have to do.
That was a powerful quote, and
That's
also a powerful message. Open up the space for younger women. That's a really powerful message to remember today. Our next speaker is, I think, undoubtedly a role model for young women across the Gulf region and in the Middle East. Her Excellency Sheikha Mayasa bint Hamad bin Khalifa Al Thani, named by Forbes among the most powerful women in the world. She has played a pioneering role in the fields of culture, education, and outreach, spearheading and supporting a number of local and international organizations. She is an inspiration, a role model to young women across the Gulf and the Arab world. Please join me in welcoming Her Excellency Sheikha Mayasa bint Hamad bin Khalifa Al Thani, Chairperson of the Qatar Museums.
Thank you.
Sheikha Mayasa, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Men make war and women build communities and peace. I like that. Thank you very much. I think that today that we should look at leadership as a spectrum from the most visible leaders to the kind of low-key leadership behind the scenes that can make a huge difference to the individuals who live and whose lives can be touched. And I think President Robinson has said this quite articulately, that today in this room we see many people from different sectors of society, private, public, different generations, and it's been a real pleasure for me to engage and listen to some of these conversations. But I've personally been very fortunate because as a child growing up, I never knew the difference between men and female in terms of rights, because as a child of 7 with 5 brothers, our parents, and especially my father, would encourage women to encourage his girls to take the same activities and the same roles as he expected from his sons. He expected all of us to contribute to society, and this is why I am here. And so for me, the challenges that we see in our societies in the Gulf in general may be very different from one country to another. When my mother started working, at that time it was something new, but today it's quite common for a woman to work, and that's something that, had it not been for the vision of my father, who's male, and the gender participation of men is very important, there would have been no First Lady from the Gulf. Until today, actually, there's no leader in the Gulf that encourages his wife to take on the same leadership, public leadership roles as my mother. I'm sure many of them work, but quietly and discreetly, because society has still not accepted it. But in Qatar, it's very different, and I'm very proud to say there are more women graduates today in schools and universities than men. Not that it's a good thing, because in my job, I try to attract and employ more men, because the gender also balance is really important for us. So when my mother started the Qatar Foundation, we brought in a lot of branch campuses, and one of the universities is Texas A&M, and they give degrees in computer science and engineering. And guess what? There are more women graduating than men. And I don't think that's the case here in the US or in Europe. And that just shows that I was just making a comparison, because we're always compared to the developed world and we are considered a developing country. But I just want to say that when women are given the equal opportunity as men, then they can do more, or equal to men. They could be equal to men. However, I also am a mother, and I have 5 children myself, and I would like to emphasize that the role of women is not only in the workforce, and she must be given equal opportunity to be a full-time mother, should she choose, but also if she wants to work and be a mother as well, she should be able to balance this through good policies and structures, which I think we haven't really progressed. Our progress in society in terms of empowering women to give them opportunity, to give them access to jobs, has been tremendous. However, the reforms and policies have not been as quick, and I think that's probably because a lot of men occupy most of the boardrooms and most of the senior executive positions, which is something we need to reflect on and review and revise. Because if we have women in these positions, then they will make policies that enable women to both work and be good mothers that they should, because they'll be bringing up the children of the future, and that's very important. Talking about myself in my capacity, we created a nursing room in our building because we wanted mothers to be able to both work and be able to check on their young children when they wanted to. But if I wasn't a woman, I probably wouldn't have thought about this, and I think it's really important that women are given positions in policy making for future sustainability and empowerment in terms of giving women the role. And just like my colleague here, panelist Mrs. Robinson, I think I'll conclude to give opportunity to other panelists today to speak since we're running late and are off schedule. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sheikha Mayasa. I just want to pick up on just something that you said that I found very interesting. You talked about women having made tremendous leaps into different sectors of Qatari society. As you said, Qatar has the highest female labor participation in the Arab world. A majority of students in higher education are women, disproving this misconception that women's empowerment in the Middle East are categorically worse than in the West. But I just want to ask you quickly, if you can, how can we make societal progress on gender relations without sacrificing cultural traditions?
I think, there's no culture traditions to say that this is supposed to be the way it is. I think this is really the way people in positions in the past made these decisions and circumstances because they were occupied by men. As I said,
so they use culture as an excuse.
Yeah, because personally, I never felt this, as I said, and I'm part of the culture, and I think that it takes leadership and vision to go back to our religion. Our religion has given women and men equal rights. I still believe men and women are physically not able to do the same things necessarily. Like a man will never be able to carry a baby, for example, and this is why women need some different rights and adaptations or adjustments into enabling them to enter the workforce in a productive manner. So I don't think culturally there are any hindrances, but structurally there are. And I think sometimes as a new nation or developing nation, sometimes the policies are actually imported from different parts of the world. And that doesn't mean they're the best practices. So I think we have to review globally together and find the best practices in order to enable and empower women to take on the jobs that they want. The most important thing for me is choice. If you give them the choice to lead the quality life they want in terms of how they want to contribute to society and the economy, that's the most important thing.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sheikha Mayasa. Let me introduce our next speaker now. Marina Pendes is the Minister of Defense for Bosnia and Herzegovina. She's held leadership positions in defense institutions for more than a decade, is a prominent activist of NATO's PFP initiative, which focuses on female leaders in defense and security. Please welcome Marina Pendes.
Thank you, and dear President, thank you for opportunity to be a part of this very important event on the global level. We all know that the leadership of women in most countries is still closer to phenomenon than common practice. No matter where we come from most developed or less developed countries, women's participation in leadership position is underrepresented everywhere. As women who spend more than a decade in leadership position of the defense institution of Bosnia and Herzegovina, I have to say it has been challenging, but also rewarding experience to work in this traditionally male-dominated sector. As a minister, I also served as a member of government for the past 4 years. Based on that experience, I can confirm how women can be equal efficient as their male counterparts in responding to the most complex institutional, national, regional, or global challenges of today. Since I took this position, one of my ambitions was to make women more visible, at least in the sector of defense. In that respect, I initiated a number of activities. I delegated a team to work on implementation of the UN Security Council Resolution 3025, and I tasked them to be result-oriented. Our goal was to improve the average representation of women in the armed forces, and we have established a mandatory quota for the admission of women in the army. At that moment, we have 7.28% of women in the army, and our goal is to be a 10% of women in the army. Last week, we have support of the British Embassy. Our Chief of Defense hosted the regional conference, Women, Peace and Security, which runs in the framework of the Chief of Defense of Bosnia and Herzegovina. We were among the first ministries that joined the NATO initiative, Female Leaders in Defense and Security. Under this initiative, we created better conditions for women in the army to enroll in educational programs. We have also established a gender perspective course at our Peace Support Operation Training Center, and I'm proud to say that the number of women in NATO and UN-led operations is rising. Communication, empathy, solidarity, care, and support women to support military missions is currently underestimated. We in BIH learned the lessons firstly and recipients of assistance, and today we have developed capacities of our armed forces to contribute to international missions. In my view, education and economic empowerment are the key ingredients for women to achieve their optimal potential. This is not only benefits the individual, but also to entire society. These factors are the precursor for realization of women as leaders and also contributors to social progress. Whenever I had a chance to nominate competent women candidates for higher education in defense, I did it. But still, statistics are not satisfactory. If we look at the legal framework when we speak of Bosnia and Herzegovina, starting from constitution, in terms of gender equality and economical equality, my country stands very well. However, implementation of laws seems slow. For example, we have just 21% of women in parliament. That is not enough for changes. It always feels great to criticize the system, but what about us? What about the women? Despite numerous courses on interpersonal skills, emotional intelligence, and gender equality to have more women leaders, we need to reform our mindset first. A negative mind can never give you a positive life. All of us here should have instinctive ambition to expand representation of women in all spheres of public life. You would agree it is our moral responsibility. If we must, or if we want to change our world, we must change in our country framework, legal base for gender equality. We must prepare more campaign for more visibility, especially in the space, especially media space, because many women don't have opportunity to be or in position to present themselves. We must have much women in political life, but in political party, on position in political party, who can, or the women must have be in position to make decision. If that doesn't possible, that is not opportunity. And we should focus to act in our area of responsibility. I cannot make change in economical issues or sphere, but I can't make changes in defense area, and I'm satisfied. Of course, I'm not, I don't do everything what I will, but that is open.
Yes. Thank you so much, Minister Marina Pendas. Can I just ask you, do you know, for a long time, traditional attitudes made people very uncomfortable with the idea of women serving in the military, of women fighting in wars. That has changed to a certain extent, I think, but there is still discrimination, wouldn't you say, in militaries around the world today. So how do you, as a leader, perform as a leader in a male-dominated profession, a male-dominated industry like the military? How does a woman perform?
You know, I study on Military Technical Academy before many years, of course, and I think that is very important to have support from your family, have opportunity to educate themselves, and have support from the women. I think if you want to change something, what is necessary? Necessary to have women's support for a women. That is a problem. In any countries, I'd heard this morning, we have majority when we speak about citizens. Every country has much more women than men. But if you have election, you always choose a man. My country is a country, they have all legal framework, but still we have 21% of women.
Right. Thank you very much. Very interesting to hear that. Yes, yes.
I think it's a kind of relevant point, but when I was elected President of Ireland in December 1990, there was the inauguration ceremony, but it was afterwards, when I was inspecting the Guard of Honour, the military, that they believed a woman could be president, you know, in front of all those soldiers. She must be able to exercise power.
I must add something. I'm 15 years in Ministry of Defense, and never I have any problem with my soldiers, NCO, officers, and generals. We always have very good connection, cooperation, and I think that is some kind of recipe for success.
Respect, okay, a recipe for success. Thank you so much. Thank you. Our next speaker is the first Goodwill Ambassador for UN Women in Pakistan. She is also an artist, a motivational speaker, and, like me, a television anchor. So, a colleague. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Muniba Mazari from Pakistan.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much. I'm sharing the stage with such empowered women. It just makes me feel so happy. You know, we're talking about women leaders or leadership power that women have. Every girl is a born leader, so don't let them tell you otherwise. That's what my mother told me. You're a born leader. There's a very famous quote. People say that behind every successful man, there is a woman. Let me complete this statement. Behind every successful woman, there is a woman too. In my case, it was my mother. And I was just recalling my time, like 11 years back, March 12th, I was on my deathbed in the hospital. And the only woman who stood next to me who didn't give up on me was my mother. I remember her telling me that God has a greater plan for you. He's preparing you for something better, so just stay strong and be patient. This pain won't last forever. And today I'm here sitting with you all and all these amazing women here. Every woman is unique, and every woman has the leadership qualities. This world tends to tell you that you're lesser of a being. No, you're not. When we talk about equal opportunity on the leadership platforms, we are not asking for the favor, we are asking for our basic human right. And those who don't believe in gender equality are those who don't believe in human equality. So it is very easy to see and look out for the people who don't believe in equality. And while we are talking about women as leaders, I'm a mother of an 8-year-old son. To him, it is very much clear that it's okay to cry, that courage has no gender, that a woman can be strong and should not be called bossy. That's all right. It's okay to be headstrong. And he also knows that there is no difference between male and female because a child does not know the differences. We teach our children to differentiate between the genders. It doesn't happen naturally. To me, an empowered woman is a woman who empowers other women around her. If I am a leader today, it's my responsibility to empower those who are around me. It's my responsibility to become the voice of those who have been silenced. On the road to success and leadership, it's always we, it's not me. So I alone cannot be anything if I leave so many women behind wondering, where did I lose the contact? It's my job to bring them all together. And yes, when we talk about leadership and when we talk about representing ourselves, because we don't want men to represent women, we want women to represent women. At every step in life, it's our responsibility to raise voice for those who have lost their voices.
Thank you so much, Muniba Mazari. Such an inspiration. I think many people in Pakistan, in your country, and around the world have been inspired by your personal story. So I just want to ask you, what advice, what message would you give to young Pakistani girls who want to become leaders?
It's not just for the girls in Pakistan. I have amazing Pakistani sitting here, Maliha Lodi, such an inspiration you offer us. It's for every woman who has a voice. She will face the barriers. She has to break the barriers. She will be judged. People will give opinions. But my mother said one thing to me: there will be haters, there will be naysayers, there will be disbelievers, but then there will be you proving them all wrong. So my message to all the women is, here is to the strong women: may we know them, may we be them, may we raise them. Amen.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Before I open up the floor for remarks from the delegates here, just a quick question to Mary Robinson, because I know you have to leave us, and I really do want to get your insight on this. You have a career spanning decades in law, politics, diplomacy here at the United Nations. We're talking about what we should tell the next generation of women leaders. What should they be afraid of or not be afraid of? Why should they get involved in politics?
There are so many things I'd like to say and so little time to kind of capture them. I think it's extraordinarily important that girls believe in themselves and believe in their potential, as has been rightly said, and interrupt if necessary in order to get their voices heard. You know, be disruptive. An example at the moment is this 16-year-old Swedish girl, Greta Thunberg.
Yes. Fighting for climate.
Yeah, standing alone in front of her Swedish parliament with her plaque for quite a few months. I was following her, actually, at that stage. And then, becoming a kind of superstar because she's now a leader of hundreds of thousands of school children who have realized that they're not being protected, that their future is not secure, and that it's unjust, that it's unfair. And they're coming out this Friday. They'll be coming out in large numbers. That's leadership of young people. And it's, I've read what Greta Thunberg has said about, that she felt she was very ordinary. She has Asperger's, she would have not have thought of herself as exceptional. And yet, because she exercised that leadership, she's brought so many others with her. And I do agree, it's all about making space for others, bringing others with you, inspiring others, but also being inspired.
And you're never too young to start early.
I'll actually end with a lovely phrase of Kofi Annan. I've taken his place now since his sad death last August as chair of the elders. And when we were together in Zimbabwe for his last mission, he repeated over and over again, you are never too young to lead, and you are never too old to learn. That's for me, You're never too young to lead, never too old to learn. And I'm sorry, I do have to.
Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you. You've heard from our distinguished panelists. I now open the floor for questions and comments. As there is no established list of speakers, as was the case in the other sessions, delegations who wish to take the floor are invited to press the microphone button on the console before them. You have 2 minutes. Please respect the timing so that we can allow a maximum number of people to make comments or ask questions. So the first speaker is Her Royal Highness Countess of Wessex from the UK delegation, the United Kingdom.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Chair. Madam President, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is a privilege to be here today to join such an inspiring group of women, especially the young women leaders, to consider the crucial issues of gender equality and women's empowerment. I'm delighted to have this opportunity to share our understanding of the barriers that hinder women's participation and leadership, and to discuss what actions we can take to bring down these barriers. We have a responsibility to ensure that women have every opportunity to reach the highest levels of their profession and lead across political, economic, and social spheres. In the societies we live in today, there is no excuse not to include women. As I suggested to an all-male board on a recent trip, if all the seats at the table are full, you just need to pull up an extra chair. In the last year, I have encountered some extraordinary people like yourselves who are devoted to doing what they can to tackle the barriers women still face. I have also been fortunate enough to meet a number of women peace builders who have shared their stories and insights with me. Last November, I also met the 2018 Nobel Prize laureate, Dr. Denis Mukwege, at the PSVI International Film Festival in London. Dr. Mukwege, a gynecologist in the Democratic Republic of Congo, has treated hundreds of victims of rape and abuse. I was struck by what he said about the silence. He considers the silence to be an enemy of survivors of sexual violence and a crime in itself. The silence that prevents survivors, their families and communities from reporting these crimes and seeking justice and makes complicit those who deliberately enable such a situation. Here at the UN, we can give survivors a voice. We can break down the stigma they face. The positions of many of us in this room occupying give us an enormous opportunity to support the work of these brave individuals. However, at the same time, we cannot impose solutions. They must be homegrown. We must listen to those on the ground, whether it be women leaders breaking down barriers in the workplace or survivors of sexual violence, and encourage support that is targeted at and appropriate for individual situations. This is my first visit to CSW and my first opportunity to see the UN in action on these issues. It has made me even more determined to use my position to break down the silence around sexual violence, and I will champion women's full and meaningful participation in peace processes as part of my wider support for implementation of the Women, Peace and Security Agenda. I will amplify and elevate the voices of women from those in business to those working tirelessly to bring peace to their communities. I look forward to working with you all over the coming months and years, especially as we look ahead to the 20th anniversary of the UN Security Council Resolution 1325 next year. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Royal Highness. I believe Minister Marina Pendes would like to respond to what you just said. She says if all the seats at the table are full, pull up a chair.
Thank you so much, and I want to use this opportunity to thank the government of United Kingdom because they invest very well in these issues when we speak about stop sexual violence against women in zone of conflict, and they support us in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and we established in our Peace Support Operation Training Center a schedule and educated our representatives from military forces and police forces. They go around the world in peacekeeping operation. In 2014, I, like Deputy Minister of Defense, hosted some regional conference, and Minister Haig, Angelina Jolie, and some foreign minister was there. Once again, thank you for Great Britain.
Thank you. Thank you to the UK. Our next speaker is the Secretary General of the Cuban Women's Federation. The floor is yours. Cuba.
Muchas gracias, señora Presidenta. En la experiencia cubana, la toma del poder político por las mujeres ha sido un proceso gradual y progresivo, que parte en primer lugar de garantizar el acceso al empleo, a la educación, a la salud, a la toma de decisiones. La voluntad política de mi país estimuló la capacidad transformadora de las mujeres. Ello nos permitió alcanzar ya en este momento el 50% de todos los cargos del Estado y el gobierno están siendo ocupados por mujeres. Las cubanas somos el 53,22% del Parlamento, segundo Parlamento del mundo con ese alto por ciento de participación de las mujeres. Ocupamos hoy el 48,4% de los que integran el Consejo de Estado. Representamos el 78% de los fiscales, el 77% de los jueces. Nuestra fiscal general es una mujer. Nuestra Contralora General de la República es una mujer. De cara al compromiso realizado en 2015 con ONU Mujeres en su compromiso por un planeta 50-50 en 2030, demos el paso. Nuestro gobierno y nuestras mujeres estamos dando el paso. De cara a los desafíos que tenemos, continuaremos dando el paso. Muchas gracias.
Thank you so much. The Secretary General of the Cuban Women's Federation highlighting there the progress has made on gender equality in Cuba. Thank you very much. Let's give the floor next to Timor-Leste and the Secretary of the State for Equality and Inclusion.
powerful and inspiring stories and insights. I'd like to share some of good examples from Timor-Leste. Timor-Leste's National Strategic Development Plan states that the government will adopt gender mainstreaming as a strategy for achieving gender equality by 2030. The government of Timor-Leste has established a quota system as a strategy to increase women's participation in politics. Today, the women's participation in the national parliament has reached 40%. Furthermore, Timor-Leste's political party law promotes women and youth's participation, especially in the party's governing bodies, and the government continues to provide capacity-building opportunities to empower them. At the executive level, the composition of women in the current government is 21% of a total of 29 members of government. Women's representation at the village level as elected chiefs of village has increased from 2% to 5%, and at the hamlets level has increased from 35 to 87 women. Despite all those progresses, at the municipality and sub-district levels, there are no women yet as administrators. Furthermore, as of 2018, 11,847 out of 34,142 employees are female, and 409 of those hold decision-making positions. Although seems to be small, it has increased compared to the previous year that was only 384 female holding decision-making positions. But there are two special regimes where female participation at the decision-making level is greater than 50%, the health professionals scheme and the new parliamentary regime. The government notes that gender issues still require a lot of attention, given that women represent only 35% of the total number of officials and agents of the public administration. In the private sector, women's participation have reached 40%, although mostly are the business owners. To address those issues, in the public sector, the government has approved recruitment and promotion laws which give preference to women in the event of equal classification between women and men candidates. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, the Secretary of State for Equality and Inclusion in Timor-Leste, painting there a picture of the situation in her country. She talked about the quota system to increase the participation of women in politics, and that's always a controversial issue, the issue of quotas. Sheikha Mayasa, are you in favor of quotas?
We don't have quotas actually in our organizations because I have more women working in the museums or the Doha Film Institute than men. Actually, the CEO of the Doha Film Institute is a woman. Most of my museum directors are women, and I didn't choose them or put them in the position because they're women. I chose them because they were good, and the work that they've produced over the time proves that. There are more filmmakers, women filmmakers at the Film Institute, more women working in exhibitions and artists than men. So as a policy, I don't think there's one policy that fits all countries or nations. I think each nation has its own challenges and one has to address these.
Right.
But in Qatar, we don't have that problem. And directly with the work that I do, I have the opposite problem. I'm trying to hire more men than women just to keep a balance in the organization. So I don't know if I'm in favor or against. I think one has to do what's best for their organization and their country and what makes sense. If you're in a society where the notion of women empowerment is not encouraged, then you may need quotas because that creates a policy and a decision needs to be done based on the requirements that the state instills. However, if you live in a society where you see women taking leadership roles in all parts of society, then you don't need to enforce that because it's second nature. So I think it's really based on the situation.
It's based on the situation of each individual country. Muniba, for Pakistan, for instance, would you be in favor or against quotas?
I mean, I was just talking to a friend in the morning that Benazir Bhutto was the very first female prime minister in the Muslim world. And that was remarkable. And as she said that, every country has a different policy. So if it becomes a norm that women have to be in the leadership, we don't have to ask for the quota. Again, every time you ask for a quota, you ask for a favor. Do we really need to favor to represent ourselves? No. I think it's our basic given right.
Interesting. Thank you so much for that. Let's now, I think a lot of people agree with you on that. Let's now hear from Belgium. And with us is Belgium's Minister, President of the Wallonia-Brussels Federation.
Merci et merci au panel pour ces différentes explications. Sur la question de l'accession des femmes à des postes de leader, c'est clair qu'il n'y a pas un instrument unique qui peut être promu et que le débat sur les quotas doit être mené sans pour autant négliger l'impact d'outils qui peuvent être des outils différenciés de pays en pays. Alors pour ce qui nous concerne, on a utilisé le quota, notamment dans le domaine économique, en imposant dans les conseils d'administration d'entreprises publiques et privées des femmes, ce qui a amélioré la situation et de manière, je veux dire, substantielle ces dernières années. Il en a été de même sur les listes électorales où nous avons mis en place des systèmes non seulement de parité, mais de tirette qui ont accentué les femmes non seulement dans les gouvernements, dans les parlements, mais pour vous dire les choses comme je les crois dans la réalité. La pire des difficultés aujourd'hui pour l'accès des femmes, c'est les murs de verre et les plafonds de verre. Je lisais pendant les interventions également une anecdote sur une course cycliste, mais qui est très révélatrice, durant laquelle en Belgique, une femme qui avait pris part à une course cycliste, deux femmes qui poursuivaient une course cycliste d'hommes, avaient rattrapé les hommes. On l'a arrêtée. On l'a arrêtée parce qu'elle était en train de gagner cette course sur les hommes qu'elle rattrapait. Je veux dire, ce qui est clair dans cet exemple anecdotique, c'est que nous avons aujourd'hui des stéréotypes extrêmement pesants qui restent dans nos sociétés. Alors, quels que soient les instruments, ce dont nous devons aujourd'hui nous rendre bien conscients, c'est notre capacité à dépasser ces stéréotypes par tous les moyens possibles. L'éducation, parfois aussi par les quotas. Je sais que ça ne fait pas l'unanimité, mais en tout cas, chez nous, ça a fonctionné.
Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Ministre. Donc, si j'ai bien compris, vous êtes, vous, en faveur des quotas, surtout dans le secteur économique. Voilà, je pense qu'il y en a qui ne seront pas d'accord avec vous, mais voilà, c'est très intéressant d'entendre votre point de vue là-dessus. The issue of stereotypes that the Minister raised is a very important one. And I want to hear your thoughts on this, especially in the military industry, the stereotypes. How do you deal with those as a woman leader?
It is very important to educate the people. I think I am proud. I come from Bosnia and Herzegovina, and I am Minister of Defense, and that means everything is possible. Even though we are not so open-minded society, we give a chance to the women. I think quota is important. Maybe somebody
coming back
not
to
done.
quotas.
Yes, I must be back on the quotas because of political life in society like Bosnia and Herzegovina we have political party, different political party. If you don't have framework for representative of enough women in political party, you don't have opportunity to be on election or on the list. You don't have you don't have opportunity to be elected and don't be in position to make some decision and make something what is a better life. Because I think you must empower a woman in all sphere. You must invest in women poverty, because if you invest in women, you invest in family, you invest in society. That means you invest in future, and that is very important.
Thank you very much, Defense Minister. Sudan will now speak. I believe Sudan and the Secretary General of the Nation for Child Welfare. I apologize if I mispronounced that. The delegation from Sudan, please.
شكرا سيدتي الرئيسة. الحضور، السادة رؤساء الدول والوفود والحضور الكريم، اسمحوا لي أن أحييكم. حقيقة إنها فكرة جيدة وملهمة الاستماع إلى هذا العدد من النساء رئيسات الدول والاستماع إلى حكمتهن. شاركت المرأة في بلادي بفعالية في مواقع اتخاذ القرار في السلطات التنفيذية والتشريعية والقضائية، حيث اتخذت حكومة بلادي عدد من التدابير لتعزيز مفهوم المساواة بين الجنسين في مواقع اتخاذ القرار فالمرأة السودانية تتمتع بصفة خاصة تمتعت بقيادة مناصب على المستوى القومي والولائي والمحلي، وتشارك في وضع الخطط التشريعية والاستراتيجية وفقا لما كفله دستور جمهورية السودان الانتقالي 2005، حيث يضمن التمييز الإيجابي للمرأة والحريات والحقوق الأساسية للمرأة، ويعزز دورها في قيادة الأسرة وتمكينها الاقتصادي والاجتماعي والثقافي والسياسي والمدني، وذلك منذ أوائل الستينات. المرأة السودانية شاركت في مختلف المناصب، وزيرات ووزيرات دولة، وقبلها تم تعيين مستشارات الولاة ووزيرات ولائيات وسفيرات وقاضيات، محاكم عليا ومحاكم استئناف ومحاكم عامة، إضافة إلى أن السودان كان من الدول السباقة إلى إتاحة الفرصة للمرأة في السلطة القضائية، حيث بلغ عدد القاضيات حاليا أكثر من 77% من القضاة في السلطة القضائية. حقيقة هناك العديد من التحديات التي تواجه المرأة السودانية وتواجه المرأة في كل العالم بصفة عامة. هذه التحديات تتمثل في تعليم النساء وتدريبهن وتمكينهن اقتصاديا حتى يقمن بأدوارهن المطلوبة تجاه المجتمع. أنا أشكر الحضور وأشكر المنصة على هذه القيادات التي قدمت لنا، فهي حقا ملهمة لكل الحضور. شكرا جزيلا.
Thank you very much, the representative from Sudan. Thank you very much, the representative from Sudan, for telling us about the situation in your country as well and the progress that has been made there. We'll now hear from Algeria and Algeria's Minister of National Solidarity, the Family and the Status of Women. Please press the microphone button right in front of you. We still can't hear. We are experiencing a bit of a technical issue there with the microphone from the Algerian representative. If we can fix that, we'll come back to you in a second as soon as we fix it. Are you able to speak now? No. Okay. Well, let's hopefully fix that, and we'll move on to Kenya next, if possible, and come back to you, Algeria, once we settle that technical issue. Kenya, please. Kenya? No? Pakistan, I know, has been very keen
Thank you very
to
much.
speak.
Is it working? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, hi, I'm Senator Sasri Palijo, and I'm from Pakistan. And I feel proud when I say that I belong to land, where Shahid Benazir Bhutto was born. It was wonderful to listen to all these wonderful and amazing ladies. I must say that United Nations is providing an incredible platform to women of the world, and whatever they've been discussing here, I must appreciate their struggle and experiences also. One thing I would like to say and share that Pakistani Parliament is working really very hard, and we have brought about so many positive changes in terms of women legislation and women rights. I just would like to add a couple of things that, women's experiences are different from men's and need to be represented in discussions that result in policy making and implementation. Women have a right to equal participation. Once in a leadership role, they can make a difference that benefits every segment to society. And I think United Nations is doing a wonderful job. I really appreciate United Nations, IPU, and all these women who have come all the way from their countries, representing their countries and sharing their ideas. This is how we can interact with each other and come up with great international policies. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, the representative from Pakistan there. Thank you for that. I don't know if Algeria's microphone has been fixed, but Algeria, are you able to speak now? Okay, still not. In the meantime, let's just come back here to our discussion, and we've been talking about the different barriers to women's empowerment. I do want to come back to the idea of cultural barriers, because I think you can't apply the same formula and the same solution to gender equality in all countries around the world, in all regions around the world. You have to adapt, right? Wouldn't you agree? So how, Sheikha Mayasa, would things and should things be done differently in countries in the Middle East, for instance?
I agree that there's no one solution to all nations' issues and challenges. I think the most important thing, like any problem, one has to identify what they are and then address them in ways where there's a solution, but also there's a respect to tradition and culture.
Right.
But most of the barriers that are in place today in the Middle East is not because of religion. That's an excuse. It's really a culture that's been inherited and almost a reluctancy to change things. I remember when I was young, having a lot of brothers at home, I wanted to join the same soccer club, which was a boys-only soccer club. But my parents allowed me to go with my brothers, and they were totally embarrassed. And they said, "Why is she coming with us? She's the only girl." But that was really a very important message that, you know, if your sister wants to play football, she's supposed to or allowed to play. And I think especially as young girls, you know, as they get older, there are religious guidance that, that may guide them in a different way. But I think cultural barriers can change through education and investing in good quality education, teaching boys and girls what the religion really is and not the interpretation that, you know, the assumptions or excuses that are being used today.
Muniba, I think this is also an issue in Pakistan where religion is often used as an excuse to keep women behind.
Well, there is no religion in the country which stops women from being the leaders. Let's be very clear about this. So stop using religion and culture as an excuse. And here is one thing. While we are busy talking about being the leaders, who is raising men who can deal with the empowered women? Are we raising our boys who can deal with the strong, headstrong women, as they put it? No. We need to understand that this is the time to raise strong men who can appreciate women with all their strength and who can accept them the way they are. And yes, culture is definitely an excuse. Being a Muslim, I would say that my religion gives me all the authority and all the rights. The problem is that we women are unaware of our own rights. That's the basic issue. And that's what people use against us because we are so unaware of our basic rights. For example, our right in our inheritance. It is very much there. But just because we are unaware of that, people take advantage.
All right.
Can I add to that? You, earlier today, you were saying that behind every successful woman is a woman. I would like to add that behind every successful woman is also a man. I think men have a big role to play in gender equality, awareness, educating their boys on how to treat women, on how to respect them, and how to give them choices in their life.
Okay, we have to wrap up very soon, but I'll give Algeria another chance, hopefully. Yes, now the representative from Algeria will be able to speak, and then we'll wrap up with a final message from our panel here.
شكرا. قبل أن أشيد بتجربة الجزائر في مجال ترقية المرأة في المناصب العليا ومراكز صنع القرار أو اتخاذ القرار، أود أن أوجه رسالة لأخواتي النساء المتواجدات على مستوى القاعة فيما جاء من مضامين للبروميي بانيل، الورشة أو اللوحة الأولى التي كانت قد تحدثت حول موضوع كيف للقيادات أن تغير العالم. لأقول أنه لتغيير القوالب النمطية كحاجز لترقية المرأة، الأولى والأجدر في نشر ثقافة عدم التمييز هي المرأة عبر محاربة التطرف، عبر محاربة التمييز، عبر محاربة التربية المؤسسة على التمييز بين الجنس. كون المرأة هي التي تربي الأجيال على ثقافة المساواة بين الجنسين إن كانت تريد ذلك، وهو ليس ممنوع بالقوانين وليس كذلك محرم بالديانات. فجزء من الحل للوصول إلى المساواة وعدم التمييز هو في يد المرأة، إن كانت كما أقول لها الإرادة لتغيير الذهنيات والقضاء على القوالب النمطية التي تحيز أو التي تقف كعائق لترقيتها هي الأولى كامرأة وكأم، أو إعاقة ترقية النساء الأخريات. أنتقل إلى طبعا الحديث عن ما وصلت إليه المرأة في الجزائر بفضل الإصلاحات التي مست التشريعات. فبفضل التشريعات التي أو بفضل الإصلاحات التي تمت على التشريع في الجزائر، والتي انبثق عنها قانونا عضويا عام 2012 متعلق بتوسيع حظوظ تمثيل المرأة في المجالس المنتخبة، تمكنت النساء بالتواجد في القوائم الانتخابية بنسب تتراوح بين 20 و 50%، وهذا ما مكن الكثير من النساء وأنا منهن، لأنني انتخبت سنة 2012 كنائبة بالبرلمان، وانتخبت مرة ثانية في البرلمان في 2017، وكنت رأس قائمة بولاية محافظة بالجزائر، وتحصلت على أكثر عدد من المقاعد، تحصلت على 11 مقعد من 13. لهذا علينا نحن كنساء العمل وتصدي للحواجز والتحلي بالمسؤولية، وعدم انتظار أن يأتي التغيير من الرجال، فالتغيير في أيدينا نحن النساء، ولابد علينا أن نتضامن فيما بيننا ونعمل معا على تغيير الذهنيات وعلى تصدي الصعوبات، لأن الصعوبات ليست حواجز، بل بالعكس تقوي تجربتنا السياسية، وهي تعتبر بمثابة تكوين لنا نحن النساء. استسمحكم لأقول أن الجزائر حاليا بفضل فتح مدارس أشبال الأمة، أي فتح هذه المدارس للفتيات لتكوينهن في مجال العسكري، مجال الأمني، سوف نتفائل خيرا لمستقبل النساء والفتيات بالجزائر، طبعا فضلا على أنهن متواجدات اليوم في مناصب لم تكن فيها في السنوات السابقة.
Thank you.
إذا لم
If you can wrap up really quickly, please. We're running out of time, please.
Sorry.
But thank you so much. We appreciate hearing about the achievements of Algeria, and also your important message about women being the leaders of change. If women have the will to change mindsets, then they can. Thank you very much. Finally, just quickly, Cameroon and Finland, and then we will end our session this morning because we all have to go to lunch. Cameroon, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm sorry. Okay, I wanted to share the experience of Cameroon to improve the representation of women. The Ministry of Women's Empowerment and the Family undertook to edit a gender track record document for public and para-public administration. And this proved to be an eye-opener. Between the first edition and the second one, we saw a sharp increase in the number of women promoted in posts of responsibilities, because many administrations were not exploiting well the competences they had. And the first two documents were presented in the Ministerial Council. And the third edition, which will be edited in the next following months, will also include the private sector. But we feel that when there is a document that shows the facts, it is sufficient evidence that women are neglected or are forgotten, and that they should be given the opportunity to share their competences and to assume the responsibilities in the building of a nation. So having documents that one cannot deny, because data is collected by teams, and they are true facts, and they are used to make the person in charge of this administration to really look at the competences of women and give them what they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to the representative from Cameroon. And finally, the last word to Finland before we end. Finland, please.
Yes, thank you, moderator. I have the sense that I'm losing the audience here, but as a gender champion, I feel obliged to share this observation and message with you from the Finnish Parliament. And last year, the Finnish Parliament conducted a review of gender equality, and the study found harrowing levels of abuse, harassment, and intimidation, with 15% of the parliamentarians having experienced sexual harassment directly, and almost half of the parliamentarians reported having heard sexist jokes at the parliament. 72% of the parliamentarians had received direct threats. So following this report, the parliament has taken a number of concrete steps to address the problem. So what I wanted to say by this, and I'm cutting short my statement here, I wanted to say that to address problems like this, you need data, hard data, you need evidence, and you need acceptance. Not denial or belittling, but action and the will to solve the problem. So thank you, Madam Moderator, for giving me the floor.
Thank you to the representative from Finland who says hard data and evidence is needed to move forward on women's empowerment. Thank you very much. Thank you to our distinguished panelists for taking part in what was a very insightful conversation, I believe. Thank you to Sheikh Mayasa bin Hamad bin Khalifa Al Thani, Marina Pendes, Minister of Defense of Bosnia and Herzegovina, and thank you as well to Muniba Mazari. And thank you to all the delegations here this morning with us. This has been an exciting event, a very successful one, I believe, organized by the President of the UN General Assembly, and we thank her for organizing it. Thank you very much to all.